Heyo, welcome into the CHGO White Sox pregame show, presented by PointsBet. Use promo code CHGO when you sign up to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. Welcome into Studio A of our CHGO offices here in the West Loop of Chicago. I'm Sean Anderson, the host of the CHGO White Sox podcast, and we are here live for a full game watch-along, thanks to PointsBet, our good friends over at PointsBet. And we said sign up using the code CHGO to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. But if you do that today and making a $51 or more first-time deposit, you'll receive 2 free shirts. You got the size C shirt and the new CHGO script shirt that's in black and white, and you get some CHGO slides. So you get $51 in free bets, $2,000 in risk-free bets, 2 free shirts, and slides for $51 using the code CHGO when you sign up with PointsBet. So we're really excited to be doing the live watch-along, except the game's starting in a rain delay. So welcome in to our studios here. I'm Sean Anderson. You can follow me on Twitter at Sean_W_Anderson. The full crew today is going to be Herb Lawrence.
Hello.
You can follow him on Twitter at Ecknerwall23. He's the CHGO White Sox community leader. Vinnie Duber. You can follow him on Twitter at Vinnie Duber. He's the CHGO White Sox beat writer. We will be here for the full 9 innings, the pregame and the postgame show. We were going to start the first and second innings with a guest, but we're just going to start the pregame show with our guest, Chris Tannehill. You can follow him on Twitter at Chris Tannehill. He is the not executive producer. Are you the executive?
Yeah, I'm sort of like above executive producer. Okay. Shane, if you're watching. No, senior audio producer at 670 The Score.
There you go. And you can listen to him 2 to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday on the Parkins and Spiegel show. So, Tanny, you used to do a podcast with Vinny, and it was very successful.
With Herb, actually.
It was with Herb. Oh,
yeah. I was going to say, wow, you know more about my life than I do.
Damn.
I don't remember that one.
I always thought it was Herb and Tanny and Vinny. Anyways, how's it feel to be back doing a White Sox podcast, Tanny?
This is a very cool setup here. Thank you guys for having me down here today. I brought my daughter here because I told her we were doing a YouTube show today, so I think she thought that was cool. But we better start unboxing some toys real quick here for her to care about that. But no, it's been nice not having to commit to a 5-day-a-week White Sox podcast as I was doing with Herb last season, and especially the way this year has gone. Oh boy, I'm kind of glad I can kind of watch it from a little further away this year. But this is really cool setup here, you guys, and thanks for having me today. And it should be a fun day for you guys here all day today. So I'll be here till I don't know. We'll see how it goes here. It looks like they're not going to be playing anytime soon there in Cleveland, but it is what it is. We're hanging with good company here, so I'm looking forward to it.
If the game gets canned, I think we get to go home. So I'm not too worried.
Okay, so it could be 5 minutes from now.
Right.
Yes, I'll tell you what. That's a good day's work.
It's a quick chat with Tanny.
Yeah.
I remember your famous last words to me. So you want to cover your team in a contention window. Do you even want to watch your team in a contention window at this point?
Well, here's the thing. I still do watch because I still work in sports media, so I still watch every day. But when you decide to pull the plug, that decision, it can happen now. We're doing a podcast every day. You cannot tap out no matter how bad the game was. Sometimes I will hate watch, like that game against Houston the other day. I did check in for the absurdity of Benetti and Stone just talking about that game and how long it was going on. I find that enjoyable sometimes, but certain games where you can kind of, like on Friday night's game, I saw no pathway towards a victory on Friday night. So I just I pulled the cord on that one and did other things, hang with the family, do something else. But yeah, it's a commitment though, isn't it, Sean? When you have a team like this, so at least there's nothing, you never have anything where you're like, okay, we have nothing to talk about today with this team, because there's always something. But yeah, man, it is quite an ordeal following a baseball team every day, as you know now.
Well, we were in the bad spot, and I don't know how Vinny and Herb feel about this, but we were in the bad spot during that Astros game before it got historically bad, and I'm going to still use historically, Vinny.
That's incorrect.
Before it got historically bad, we were just going to go through players who hit from the right-handed side and threw left-handed in White Sox history. Oh. So we were just going to, have some fun with that great
That's a lot of fun,
topic.
yeah.
Yeah, right? So thankfully, the Astros just murdered them like a football team.
It was kind of historically bad, though, because it was the most runs ever scored by an opponent in that ballpark. So you could...
And it'll go right in the history books right next to the Biden administration.
And you were there for the worst before that, right, Tanny?
What was the other one?
The Detroit game that started off this the guaranteed rate / Comiskey 2
The 16-0 game.
Oh, the first day in the new park?
Ever.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was there. My dad took me there. Yeah, that was my first actual baseball memory in person. Like, I had been to the old Comiskey Park several times with the family, but going there to the opening weekend of New Comiskey Park, as they called it back then, that was like some of my first baseball memories. And years later, you remember the score because you see it and when anniversaries come up. But, when you're there, when you're 8 years old and the park opens up, you don't remember them getting trounced that day. So, but yeah, I was there, in the words of Les Grobstein. So, yeah.
First time I was introduced to that team in that ballpark, the Angels beat their ass 11-4. Garrett Anderson was awesome that day.
Home run derby champ, Garrett
Oh,
Anderson.
man.
In
Tim
that
Salmon
park,
and the
too.
boys.
It was fantastic. Fantastic show.
Fantastic.
Speaking of fantastic shows, you and Herb did this for a bit. Clark coming in, followed Herb over and loved the group. But it's great to hear Tanny, your guy Zach Byrne, chiming in as
Zach.
well. Please tell me Jake Lamb is going to be a guest caller today. Our guy Ian from across the pond saying love to see Tanny back. And also Casey, like in the Ohio pick for you with the Black Key shirt. So
Did
way
it
to
on
represent.
purpose. Did it on purpose.
You didn't pick up any Cleveland merch when you were out there?
I did not. I did not pick up any Cleveland merch because initially I don't like Cleveland. Tanny and I went in 2011. The first day Adam Dunn played for the White Sox, he hit a home run. We sat in right field at Progressive Field, and
He was fine when we left. He was a good player when we left Cleveland that
Yes.
weekend. After that, I'm not so sure.
And then he got ruined. And so from that experience of that ballpark and that city, the only reason we ever went back was to go to a place called Melt where they sell grilled cheeses that are great and they're huge. I finished mine last night, finally, after getting it early Saturday morning. But going back to Cleveland, it was like, all right, it's better than it was, but it's still not a great city. It is like if you're in the Midwest, there's like so many more better cities. I mean, I don't know if you consider Kansas City a better city or a Midwest, but it's a far superior city than Cleveland. And those folks are still mad about the name change. They're like, come on, man. It's just 4 more letters. You take out the IN and then put in guard.
I thought you meant the Progressive Field from Jacobs Field. I forgot.
Oh, no. They're
That's
just
still smarts, too. I
I'm
think,
mad
yeah.
about that one.
I'm just like, what are you doing? Like, they're just still mad about that, and they're not excited about their first place team, as they weren't that day we were in Cleveland in 2011, where they actually competed that year, and the thing they were looking forward to the most was the call-up of Lonnie Chisenhall that year. Now they're just like, we know these guys are good, but they're not going anywhere in the playoffs, and also they're going to sell off the guys who, when they get good, like Rosario and Jimenez, when they get good, so we're not even looking forward to it. It's like, you guys got a good point. You got a real good point, because I see all those jerseys in there. Shane Bieber, once he gets good, gone. Same thing with Tristan McKenzie, gone immediately. But at least Jose Ramirez stayed for them and signed a nice team-friendly deal. But the folks at Cleveland were kind of nice. They were very sweethearts. The guy in front of us who threw out the first pitch bought us all beers. It was nice.
Hey, nice. Did you yell at Tony from your nice seats?
No, we did not yell at
close
Tony.
enough.
I mean,
Third base
I don't
side?
like how Tony does his managing, but I don't despise the man. I just think he's not good for the job. So I'm not going to berate him.
But you were helping him. I mean, that's what apparently happened on Tuesdays.
Yeah, we
You were
weren't
just
that
helping
close.
him.
We weren't that close.
All right.
But yeah, that was and the game that we went to. Remember, they had an early 2-0 lead. I'm telling the Cleveland Guardian fans, you're gonna win this game. They're like, come on now. He's like, no, Jose Ramirez kills us, and all the time we're in this ballpark, it's always heartbreak for the White Sox late in the game, and sure as shit, the White Sox lost that game in an embarrassing fashion where the Cleveland Guardians came back after a couple errors by the White Sox, and then Steven, Ambassador of the Quan, which Vinny brought up, hit that big-time triple.
Well, and then we got to watch out for Oscar Gonzalez apparently too, because on a 1-2 count with 2 outs, here's Tony again issuing an intentional walk.
We didn't even realize that because we were already so disappointed. I think it was already 5-2, and theoretically it was academic because they didn't score any more runs after that, but we didn't realize that until we got out of that ballpark and then looked at Twitter like, okay, he did it again? All right. We weren't really even paying attention. So at that point, the game was lost. For Tony to intentionally walk a guy at 1-2, I don't know if it rises to the level of the anger it was on Twitter, but it's another thing.
Nothing ever does.
It was just another thing to put into the basket of why Tony needs to get fired for everybody who sees that.
Yeah, I really wish on June 9th you were sitting in my chair that day because I didn't want to do a post game that day.
Oh, it's the Dodgers?
When he issued the first 1-2 intentional walk. I don't know how you felt in that moment.
Yeah, that was it was not ideal. Like that was a day game for us as well. So like, we were live in the moment on Parkinson Spiegel on 6-7 The Score talking about that one. But like you're trying to make sense of what's going on like while you're doing a live radio show and watching through a monitor. But so like it didn't register. Like did that really happen? What is going on? It's like, I could not make sense of it. Then like that seemed like it was an inflection point on the season, and it continues to happen. Some of these moves I still don't understand. I'm not one of those guys like, oh, it's Tony's the only reason why this team is underachieving. That's obviously not the case. In terms of, I always talk about the pie chart of blame. There's plenty to go around in terms of everyone throughout the organization, players, front office, management, coaches, all that stuff. But I just don't understand how you think that puts your players in a good spot when you say, you know what, good job, Jakeman, I've been calling him. Good job, Jakeman. You've got a 1-2 count here, but you know what? I'm taking it out of your hands here. Like, I don't see how anyone on the team can feel good about that in the moment. And I know Tony's the matchup guy, even though you could argue earlier on that inning, if you were going to have Jake Diekman ready and warm, like you would have him pitch earlier, perhaps to a lefty in that situation. So, like, there's exactly to Quan. So there's a lot of flawed logic here, and it's just it continues to be a national punchline. I saw Ben Verlander, Herb, your guy, tweet early on the next morning from Japan is like, hey, I'm here in Japan, and Tony La Russa is still walking people on 1-2. So it's part of the national conversation, which you never like to see when you follow the White Sox. But it is what it is. It's not the reason why they've underachieved, but it doesn't make things any easier as it's happening, I suppose. So
we probably have some PTSD from all the Astros 2-strike hits they got on Thursday. So
right.
I don't blame them. And you say it keeps happening again about Tony issuing 1-2 walks. We also saw him do it again. Joe McEwing send Yasmani Grandal last night. That's probably the big thing that's happening right now.
Well, they're on the road, and like you said, no fans were there to help to say, hey, put Engel
right.
in.
Stop.
That guy who should be there on the road as well.
There's people on a different radio station questioning if he is the slowest person in Major League Baseball, and we have found out, Herb, that he is the slowest, and you are slower than the slowest.
Yeah, not the slowest person in Chicago.
No.
There's at least one person slower than him.
God, Yaz was in my heart and mind when I saw like him go down last night, because like he had like I was already on the pro Yasmani Grandal front. Like I was, I know there's a lot of things going on with him last year with some of the injuries, and like you're rooting for him to find his way, because I think generally when his bat is in the lineup, it's a better lineup no matter if he's producing or not. He had been struggling a bit this week. He's swinging a lot of pitches out of the zone, which is uncharacteristic for him. So he's really out of sorts. But generally, his at-bats make your lineup better. And then that whole thing that happened with Herb falling in the alley and Yasmani sending the knee brace, I was like, oh, he skyrocketed up my favorite players ranking. So to see him go down last night, that was a tough look. I don't know. We have not found out for sure ACL. Right, we don't know any news on that.
All they said was a strain, left knee strain.
Okay,
yes.
so hopefully it's not as bad as it looked. Sometimes with these things, it looked really bad, and hopefully it's not the case. But yeah, man, he's having a rough year, and we were just thinking like if that's the last time we saw Yasmani Grandal in a White Sox uniform or not. I certainly hope not.
Yeah, Daryl said they're from Tony. They're waiting to see. He left on crutches last night, and he kind of limped in with the crutches. So we'll see. Carlos Perez getting the call up. He's going to be apparently in Cleveland today to take Yasmani's spot. I think they also moved Kyle Crick to the 60-day.
Correct.
Any other 40-man moves?
Nope, that was the only one that was necessary to get Perez up there. By the way, I know you've been begging for a Kyle Crick update.
Yeah.
I don't really have one for you, but someone in the White Sox front office was asked about it. We talked to Chris Getz over the weekend, earlier this week, and he was asked about Kyle Crick and what's going on, and he said they're still trying to figure out what's going on with him exactly, and they're still they don't know for sure exactly what the next step is going to be. As you see him go on the 60-day injured list today, might be worth starting to wonder if he's going to pitch again for the White Sox this year.
It was elbow inflammation, I think, too, which is never a good thing when the guy is on a 60-day IL. It just seems like it's probably going down the bad route. But even with Yasmani, even ACL or not, anything that knocks him out for 6 weeks probably knocks him out for the season, Herb. So what do you think about the Sox losing their starting catcher?
I know White Sox fans are very disappointed with what Yasmani's done with the bat specifically, but as Tanny says, the White Sox are a better team with him in the lineup than they're not. He had a couple of bad at-bats last night, but the play or the bat that he got eventually injured on he did a good job. He got on base. Now, I knew he was at second base. When that hit by Elvis Andrus happened, I was like, okay, cool. First and third, we got no outs. We're in the house. We're doing things with the 1-0 lead. And to see him come home, I was like, he's out by a million miles. I know my speed.
Yeah, I was about to say, can you judge him?
I know my
just
speed.
Watching him now?
And I know Yasmani's not too far away from me, but he's a little faster. He's got those jets. And
I
so
did picture you running side by side with him before he got hurt. I did picture you running next to him and then falling on your face.
I would have got a better secondary lead than him.
We're gonna need you and him to run on the beaches over here on South Shore, like Apollo
Rocky.
Creed, Apollo Creed and Rocky.
But
get him back from this ACL injury.
Like all the factors that go into that sin process. Yasmani's slow. You have 0 outs. The top of the order is about to come up. It's wet because it rained earlier in the day. 3-hour rain delay. All the things say, stop. Don't send this guy. And Joe McEwing sent him. And he's just been bad this whole year. And it's nothing against the person, because I think Joe is genuinely a good dude, but he might be feeling stressed from his job to produce runs because this team doesn't do it on a regular basis. But also he has to know that Yasmani is not the dude to be pushing the envelope there. What he needed to do, if that was Luis Robert, if that was Eloy Jimenez, if that maybe even the Jose Abreu, you can do that. But Yasmani Grandal is not the person to do it for. And even though White Sox fans are like, maybe it's a blessing in disguise. No, it's not. You're going to see a lot of Sebi Zavala now. And while earlier in the year you're like, man, Sebi is ranking and he's doing a good job at catching, he's not raking anymore. He's catching fine, but the drop-off from a average Yasmani Grandal to a top Sebi Zavala is precipitous, and I don't know what Carlos Perez is going to do. I definitely don't. So losing him, losing Tim, this team is worse today than it was yesterday.
Tony, about Carlos Perez, he could wind up catching 1 out of every 3 days, especially amid their current 21 games in 20 days. And Perez found out around 11:30 p.m. last night and called his family. His flight was at 5:30 a.m. and he has not slept. He was all smiles and greeted warmly in the clubhouse, working hard every day trying to get here. I'm so happy. So at least, Carlos Perez gets to make his dreams come true.
Yeah, and I mean, we've been hearing about him for a few years now because he's a guy that Tony talked up a ton in each of the last 2 spring trainings, which is kind of odd. I mean, not that he didn't deserve it, but like it's a name that you weren't expecting to hear the manager shouting out repeatedly during the spring. But we finally get to see him now. I think Herb's exactly right, though. You lose Yasmani Grandal, you've already lost Tim Anderson. I mean, the White Sox are fighting a bit of an uphill battle here. Certainly, relative to their own expectations, it's a very uphill battle. But just to win the division, they're still behind right now. They're still woke up in 3rd place, and now they got to do it without 2 of their quote unquote main guys. No matter what the production has said this year, that's what they are. Absolutely. It's been a really tough year for Yasmani Grandal from a hitting standpoint. From a defense standpoint, I think it's pretty noticeable, too, when a guy's not all the way healthy, whether it was early in the year when he was dealing with the after effects of the knee surgery or now later in the year since he's come back from that lengthy stay on the IL before with the back issue. It's obviously had an effect. And, you can laugh at, his running ability as much as you want, but this is a guy who obviously is not in the same physical condition he was even just a year and a half or 2 years ago. So it's tough to see because this is obviously a guy the White Sox invested in heavily, not just to be there for a pandemic shortened year and a little bit of 2021. They invested in that guy to be a main contributor for them over a 4-year span, and it really to this point has not ended up that way at all. And so, Chris, you're right. I mean, you hope for the guy that he can be back healthy at one point next year so he can deliver or be able even to deliver on what the White Sox did when they gave him what was still to this day the largest free agent contract in team history.
Silver lining, though, Carlos Perez is going to play. Tony's going to have to play him. So there's been some hesitation, whether it be Lenin Sosa or Romy Gonzalez, who played a little bit against Houston, but the young player will get a chance to play just out of necessity. So I think that is one silver lining that could come out now. Whether or not Carlos Perez is any good, who knows? But maybe you get, lightning in a bottle here with some young energy on this team, which I think it could certainly use. And Tony's got no choice but to play the young guy here, which I like.
Well, I mean, sure. But like you said, who knows if Carlos Perez is going to produce? He's not going to be in a position where he's really going to have to. He's going to be the backup catcher. But certainly that, you said 1 out of every 3. That's kind of the timeshare they had going with Yaz and Sebi already. The thing that I think you brought it up, kind of people complaining to Tony, people begging Tony to put Lenyn Sosa in there. Well, he did, and it ended up not working out at all. Again, nothing against the player, but maybe just not ready yet for this level. And so that you can get what you want in seeing a young player get up here and get his opportunity. It doesn't mean that it's going to do what everybody kind of wants these guys to do. So
I saw a lot of people talking about Oscar Colas really the past couple weeks or so. He's doing well down there in Double-A. Where are you guys at on maybe getting Oscar Colas sometime here before September? I know we don't have too much time before September, but some more youthful energy here, possibly in a corner outfield spot. I know that's been a big conversation. I can go either way on this type of stuff because I know Tony's hesitant to play a lot of these young guys, and some of them have not necessarily proven they've earned the playing time, as you mentioned. But where are we at on Oscar Colas right now?
Well, I mentioned we talked to Chris Getz last week, and unsurprisingly, Oscar Colas, his name came up. Guy's been doing fantastic. Certainly earning the interest. You know what I mean? Like, fans are clamoring, and he's earned that clamoring. That being said, I would not expect him to not only not see him before September, I would not expect him to see him at the major league level in this calendar year.
Like, unfortunately, Gavin Sheets keeps hitting. Like, if he wasn't hitting, then I think it would be very easy.
Why is that bad?
Right.
Well, like, for people who want Colas.
I was thinking about that last night. Like, certainly that's not an ideal situation to begin your year with Gavin Sheets as being a huge part of it. But I will say his adjustment and the way he started the season compared to where he is now, his approach at the plate, I think is really good. Him, showing tendencies to go to the opposite field quite a bit. Like, that is one of the few silver linings of this season is, like, if you have to have this guy out there every day, I think the defense has improved. He's certainly better than Andrew Vaughn out there, but like to see him sort of go through like all of the gut punches of a major league season that some of these youngsters happen to go through, to see him respond the way he did, like, I just got to give him all the credit in the world, especially in the pinch hit roles. His success in the pinch hit spots, when you're a young guy not getting a lot of ABs at the big league level, and to respond the way he did, I think that's one of the positive things ultimately about this season. Now, obviously, I would not have had that be one of my main options going into the year, but you have to deal with what you have in front of you, and I think he's responded well this season, especially the past few weeks in big spots.
What did he tell me in spring training? Reps. You know what I mean? And we saw last year Andrew Vaughn get a full season of reps, and it should be no surprise that he benefited from that learning experience, and he's been the hitter that he's been this year. Gavin Sheets is getting his reps this season, and perhaps not as many of them as Vaughn does. Vaughn is an everyday player right out of the box, pretty much. Sheets obviously has more of a part-time role, but for him to get those reps is very important to his growth, and whether he is a featured player, a main player for the White Sox next year, or who knows what this offseason has to bring. Maybe he's a main player somewhere else. He's obviously going to benefit greatly from this experience, and you can expect him to be a more productive and just more experienced player moving forward because of what he's been able to do this year.
And as Sean said, Gavin Sheets is doing well. He's doing what the White Sox envisioned him to do, be a power bat in the left, from the left side. His glove in right field is passable. And so the need for Colas isn't there. Yes, he would probably, put some injection of greatness into fans. Like, they see what he's doing down there in AAA. It's a 311, 392, 613 slash line. But that's Double-A. It's a tough league, too. In Birmingham, to hit those home runs that he's done, it's awesome. But the major leagues, and to thrust this guy, all the pressure onto him in his first major league season. Hey, here's a pennant race, kid. Enjoy yourself. Be real tough to see him coming up to the major league level. And what I would like to see, if he does come up to the major league level, play. Like, play all the games. You're up here for a reason. And if you're not going to be playing, so what's the reason for you to be up here? So Gavin's doing a good enough job holding the job down for either pinch hitting, pinch spot in right field, or designated hitter. So I think that's what the White Sox are going to be doing from here on out. And I don't too much disagree with him being in that role right now and not having Oscar Colas up here.
Here's the bottom line with Colas. It obviously I understand why people want to see him, because the team needs some offense, right? And the team has outfield spots that are not ideal at the moment. But think about this: if they were winning the way that everybody expected them to win, right? The White Sox aren't going to. There's no need to bring Oscar Colas up here, right? And so Oscar Colas might still be at Double-A because that's what his development dictates where he needs to be. The White Sox usually do not operate under there's a need at the major league level, so we're going to send a guy off plan.
Right.
And I think that's what you're seeing. You're going to see the plan be followed because they want every player to be as ready to go in the majors as possible, not just like, we'll throw this at the wall and see if this sticks kind of thing. Now, that might be kind of a little counterintuitive for when you're trying to win, right? But you don't want to rush a guy who's down at Double-A. Don't even think he's played 30 games down at Double-A, right? And bring him up and bury his chances of success because he's not prepared.
But also we've seen someone younger, like Andrew Vaughn, come up and have success. I mean,
right, but they thought he was ready.
Yeah, true. Well, it's true.
And that was at the beginning of the season where they brought him up initially. This is going to be real tough if you bring up a guy and Tony's not going to play him every day. And that's not Tony's fault, because I see Gavin Sheets doing well, and other people have to get at bats. A.J. Pollock has to get at bats. You have to get at bats for Andrew Vaughn. So there's a real glut of outfielders for the White Sox, so Oscar Colas joining that glut would not help them out, I don't think, unless you're playing him exclusively in right field.
If they were going to call up someone like Colas, I think they would just say, you have to play this kid. We listen to our bosses. If our boss tells us to do something, we do it. I would be surprised if they called up Colas and he didn't play. But the question is, would he even get called up? It seems very, very unlikely.
I mean, Tony's getting crushed for not playing Lenyn Sosa. Lenyn Sosa was a Double-A second baseman who was called up to be a bench player.
I ran up the stairs when Elvis Andrus was signed. I'm all for Elvis Andrus and no more Lenyn Sosa. I mean,
usually I'm the biggest Elvis fan in any room that I walk into. I'm not sure if that applies. I mean, people were getting on his case for not playing Sosa. Sosa was brought up to be a bench player. If you were going to bring up somebody to be your starting right fielder, he'd be your starting right fielder. That's not what's going to happen because he's not they don't believe he's at that point yet. You're going to see Oscar Colas play for the Charlotte Knights before you see him play for the Chicago White Sox.
All right, there you go.
Whether that's this year or next year, I don't know, but that's going to be the case.
Yeah, it'd be surprising to see him make another jump, I think, too.
I think it would be as well.
Yeah, just to go up to Charlotte even at this point in the season. And even, too, Birmingham's a harder place to hit. So, maybe the pitching's a little bit easier, but going up to Charlotte, it really – I mean, Mark Payton has 14 home runs, and he's like 5'8" down in Charlotte.
How many home runs does Gary Payton have?
I don't know. Probably a little less. We do have a super chat from our guy Jarrett talking about Yasmani Grandal, and we talked about Carlos Perez a bit. Super chat from our guy Jarrett. We really appreciate that. Yaz should be cheered for being tough, hard to play with a rotational sport with back spasms and leg numbness. That's 100% a disc issue, Tiger or Creedy. Oh, having
Woods
similar issues. Yeah. Gotcha.
The two of the most legendary athletes of all time, right? Tiger Woods and Joe Creedy.
Yeah,
right. They're on the same plane.
I like that as a segment, Tiger or Creedy. A fun fact
there you
about
go.
either one of those guys.
1-4 Masters.
Who are we describing?
Who won the 2006 Silver Slugger, Tiger Woods or Joe Creedy?
Notable for wearing a red polo while playing. I think that, first off, Yaz running. I mean, we talk about fire and passion, my friends. Yasmani Grandal ran as fast as he could to get home on that play. It wasn't like, and he made every effort to avoid that tag, which probably got him hurt. So, I mean, shout out to Yasmani for at least putting it all out there, even when he's not the fastest, because he didn't, he didn't blink once when Joe sent him. So, shout out to Yasmani for even playing through that stuff too. Because even the first month, like 2 months, it still felt like that was a very, very large issue. And then even when he went down to Charlotte, I feel like it cleared up a bit. I don't know how he felt after coming up from the minor league rehab, but it seemed like he was still a little bit affected.
As he explained it, I'll just to tell you what he said. Obviously, those knees were bothering him in the early part of the season, still from the after effects of the surgery that he had in the offseason. He told us when the back injury happened, the discomfort in his knee went away completely, and that he wasn't thinking. He felt when he came back, he said he felt as good as he had all year. That they finally got the back issue out of the way, but that simultaneously with it, the knee issue went away as well. But I mean, this guy has had surgeries now and a lot of time on the IL this year. You'd have to imagine he is still not 100% Yasmani Grandal, which is something we've seen, whether it's been on this team during the pandemic-shortened year or more notably earlier in his career at different stops. We know that 100% Yasmani Grandal can be a really, really effective offensive player. It would not surprise me if physical issues are lingering, even if they are not as bad as they were perhaps earlier in the season.
One of the problems I have with the White Sox, and it seems like this, and it's just, anecdotally, I feel that the White Sox play their players through injuries. So the rehabbing doesn't happen off the field. It happens on the field. So, hey, you're injured, go down to Charlotte, play those games. I feel like teams should, hey, are you injured? Cool. We'll put you on the IL, get better. Once you're ready to play, we'll put you down in AAA, as they did with Eloy. And that is a ramping up period. That's like, okay, get your baseball fitness going, get your swing right, get your defense right. And so when you hit the major leagues, you can hit the ground running. There's no setbacks. If we need to rest you for a couple games, cool. But for the most part, when you're on this major league roster, you're ready to go. I think with Yasmani, they played him way too early. His knee was still hurt. And I know that you said the explanation was like, you got to play through that type of pain. You have to play through
you have to get used to the discomfort.
Yeah, the discomfort. But like, it just seems like with their track record as of late, players have been injured, oft injured, and then once they come back, they're still hurt. And working major league games hurts, which is not the greatest. And 80% Yasmani Grandal is better than any catcher on the White Sox system, but also you need him to be 100%, as much as 100%, as close to 100% as you can in a Major League Baseball season for him to go down the stretch drive. So I don't know if it's a symptom of this team or Yasmani Grandal's actual knee injuries that he's had previously, but I don't like how they do the injury thing with the White Sox, especially like Luis Robert. He was hurt for a little bit. They're like, all right, we're just going to put him on the side for a little bit. Not IL him, not give him a chance to get his wrist right, but we're going to put him on the side. I hope he gets better, get the injection. And then he comes back yesterday, his first couple swings, I'm like, he's lost. He can't really do anything with that wrist. I don't like rehabbing on the job. They should let him convalesce and get better and then come back.
Well, Herb, you're going to love this. From James Fegan out in Cleveland. Eloy Jimenez will be at DH until trainers feel his knee is ready for the outfield. Russa didn't seem enthused about Jimenez patrolling the new massive left field in Baltimore on it. So Eloy also dealing with an injury.
And has been. I mean, we asked, I don't remember how long ago this was, but it was relatively recently, they had that stretch in the beginning of the season when there were 4 guys on, take it easy instructions from the training staff because of their sore legs that they could play through, but they didn't want them to make it a worse injury. The update was that Vaughn and Eloy, obviously Eloy coming back from the IL stint, and then Vaughn just kind of dealing with a season-long soreness, I guess. They're still under those instructions. And, they tell Vaughn every once in a while, hey, if you feel it, ease up kind of thing. Eloy has probably been under those instructions since he came back, and now you're seeing the result of that, probably getting a little more, I don't want to say serious, that makes it seem bad, but it's probably the discomfort is probably more significant than it has been to the point where they got to keep him out of the outfield.
I think ultimately this could be another positive thing, getting Eloy more acclimated to that DH spot. If you're talking about maybe finishing off the year at DH and then pivoting to that on a full-time basis next year. I know you have a glut of DH types already on the roster, but the whole narrative of Eloy's got to play left field to be more engaged. No, that's not the best version of this White Sox team, because anyone who's watched him over the past few weeks in left field, it's not ideal. And if he was playing hurt, I salute you for playing hurt, but it's all about run prevention with this team, and they're already not good enough as it is. So maybe having Engel play a little bit more out there in one of the corner spots, I think maybe that could be another thing, especially if Eloy continues to hit, because he's been hitting. So if he continues to hit in the DH role, maybe he will see, this is something that I can do. It'll take some time to get used to, because young guys especially don't necessarily love the DH spot, and I get why he wouldn't embrace that totally. But in terms of this team, and when you are not putting up enough runs, you have to prevent them in the field, and he has not been a great element of this team out there in left field in terms of the way he plays balls out there, the lack of aggression getting 2 balls. So I think maybe they'll have a better outfield defensively with Eloy in the DH spot, hopefully.
Well, and I know that I know fans want Billy the hitter back, Billy Hamilton back. So you mentioned just Engel possibly looking for new outfielders. And Brett Phillips was designated for assignment by the Orioles, so I don't know if they look into him. But yeah, I mean, I know fans are also getting to the point where next year it feels like they have to choose between Eloy, Andrew, and Abreu, because all three of those guys basically all play the same position and are all kind of taking up, the DH spot at times. So I don't know how you feel, Tanny, about that. If you're looking ahead and being like, I don't know how we're going to keep Eloy, Andrew, and Abreu on the 2023 Sox all in the same lineup because of the positional issues.
Well, I think I've talked about this on the score a lot. I think this roster is in need of a shakeup. Like, I'm not sitting here saying you must trade Eloy, you must trade Andrew Vaughn, but if I'm Rick Hahn, I'd be listening this offseason, because I think just the core, the makeup of this ball club right now, over 162, it doesn't do enough for me. When you have guys that are just hitters and are not necessarily good defenders, that does not help you over 162. And especially when you're not hitting, then what are you doing for me ultimately? So if you have to listen to a trade that'll send Eloy out, I would do that. Depending on what you got back, you need more versatility, I think, with everyone on this roster, really. It's like if you're not a DH or first baseman, we have no spot for you on the 2022 White Sox. So I would like to see, the Pollock move, I think, was a move designed to combat that. It's been kind of underwhelming this year, but more players that can actually play both sides, offense and defense, I think would be a welcome addition to the 2023 club. And I'd be open to any type of shakeup to this core, because I think they're a little bit stagnant right now. They're just not, for whatever reason, whether it's lingering injuries that we'll never hear about till after the season's over, but a lot of these guys, this roster needs more guys that can do more things for you to help you win a baseball game. You look at who they're playing now, Cleveland. These guys can play. They hit for high contact rates. They play solid defense all the time. They can run, take the extra base. The Sox don't have a lot of guys that can do all those things.
And speaking to your point, Tanny, our guy Teresa E says Eloy being the DH puts Vaughn in the field. It's not like it moves a good outfielder out there. So, yeah, it's
that's
like
the problem.
It's like a bunch of problems. Like, Eloy's not good enough to play outfield. That means that Andrew Vaughn's got to go either to left or right.
If Vaughn can go back to left, like you saw, he was pretty serviceable. Left field is a spot where you can be average and
slow, and they can hide
slow and average,
there.
and you can mask those things. And he played a solid left field last year, but him in right field is obviously, he's one of the worst right fielders, I think, by the numbers. So if you can move him to left, Engel to right, I think that's a much better defensive outfield than what they have currently with Eloy out there in left.
I mean, even Gavin, Chirizi's been saying, you guys talk about the improvement that he's made hitting. They say eye test, he's looked like a lot better of a right fielder out there. And it really hasn't felt like, since July, Gavin's been that much of a liability out in right field. So I'm not against it, especially when they have lefties, that Gavin's out there. If it looks like a Gavin and Engel platoon out there, I'd be fine. But Engel's also looked really bad with the bat recently. Him and Sebi Zavala might need to go down to Charlotte to talk to their old buddy Chris Johnson to get some tips on hitting. It just feels like, a lot of their problems can't be fixed. Like, they can move pieces around and shift and move all these musical chairs, but unless they get different players, like Elvis Andrus coming in, I don't think that things will get better, because it just seems like
things get better if they hit. You know what I mean? That's the thing.
Well, why aren't they hitting?
But that's what hasn't happened.
Months.
That's what hasn't happened.
Right.
None of the things you guys are saying are wrong. You know what I mean? These guys are noticeably, deficient in areas, specifically defense, like you were talking about, but other ones that you were bringing up, Chris, as well. But the whole point was, it doesn't matter if they're hitting the ball a million miles.
Because they're hitting and they're pitching the way they are, then they have a sizable lead right now in the division.
Exactly. But they haven't hit this, or they haven't scored, I should say, this year. And that's obviously a gigantic problem. When your team is built to score a lot of runs and they don't do it, then all the other things are not able to be covered up, are not able to be counterbalanced, and it leads to even more losing, because those things are now costing you games because you're not scoring enough runs to make up for it.
And that's why Yasmani Grandal is getting sent home, because they're not scoring enough runs.
Right. And I don't think
No, there is some truth to that. I think everyone, when you're losing, everyone feels that pressure.
Absolutely.
Whether it's the coaching staff, the players on the field, to play through a nagging injury, like the Luis Robert thing. Like, we were talking about the way organizationally they handle injuries, but sometimes the player has to say, you know what, I can't help you at this point. I have to go on the IL. But no young player, I don't think, is going to say that. So you kind of have to protect the players from themselves. But the players have to be forthright and honest about how they're actually feeling. So I think the truth is always somewhere in between in terms of the injuries and how they've been handling it. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, yeah. It's like I said, it's all correct. It's just there's there is a universe, and it was the expected universe in which this roster was good enough to win the World Series because it was going to score so many runs. And I think that bet was not necessarily misplaced because we saw what all these players could do over the last few years. It just ended up going really sideways, for a very long stretch of time. It's still going on. I mean, come on, they've scored 4 runs in 2 days in Cleveland, and it's a thing that is not going away, and so therefore there does need to be probably big fixes or big changes made this offseason, not because any of these guys should be given up on, but because you saw maybe how fragile the whole bet that was made on this team was, because you put all your eggs in the run scoring basket and none of them hatched.
Right. Last year it was an injury issue and they still hit home runs. This year it's an injury issue and they're not hitting home runs. It's the worst of both worlds, basically. And even looking back until the start of the Houston series, they've scored a total of 19 runs in 6 games. So it's clearly, again, the bad offense has reared its ugly head. It was here for 5 games, and that was fun. But now it's back to where
those were some low-scoring games too.
Yeah, they still won though, and it was easier to do that. Anyways, we are currently doing a live watch-along for the Guardians and White Sox game. The issue is that the Guardians and White Sox game is in a weather delay. We do have a fun promo going for you guys. We thought the game would be played, so we were going to have bet $51 pregame or live on the White Sox or Guardians game on Sunday and get an exclusive PointsBet Southside collection. So if you download the PointsBet app and use code CHGO when you sign up or make a $51 or more deposit, you will receive a size C shirt, a new CHGO script shirt. We have that in red and white. We now have it in black and white. We also give you the CHGO slides. Those are brand new. You'll also get a yearly CHGO membership, which unlocks all of our web content, like Vinnie Duber's written articles. We got written articles on the Bears preseason. We got written articles on the Blackhawks offseason, the Bulls offseason, Sky coverage as well. And you get $2,000 in free bets. All you need to do is sign up on the PointsBet app using code CHGO and make a $51 or more first-time deposit. We have about 155 people in here watching as well, so make sure to give that video a thumbs up. And we hope the game starts soon, but I saw the radar for Cleveland, and it looked very, very bad. And I think they were squeegeeing the outfield at one point.
Well, right now, the tarp is still on the field in Cleveland, but there are fans sitting in the lower bowl. And so the camera shots that I've seen, it looks relatively dry, unless they're waiting on just another downpour to come through after this. But right now, it looks maybe improving until it's
pouring
not.
here.
Yeah.
No air and water shot.
And I know we've been talking about the negative stuff with the White Sox, and there's a lot of it. But if you guys don't mind, I want to talk about something that's very positive.
That shirt?
Yeah, that shirt is dope.
Both of them, actually.
But mercy, I tell you what, Johnny Cueto. Just unbelievable. I tweeted out a
Call
thing.
him Herbie Sunshine for a reason.
It is just ridiculous. This guy is not only just a good pitcher, or much better than we expected, he's a top pitcher in the American League. A top pitcher in the American League we've got off a minor league deal. Now, this is Rick Hahn's best signing by far. This guy might finish with some Cy Young Award votes this year. He won't win it, but I would not put it past that he will win some Cy Young Award votes and make himself a boatload of money, where the White Sox will be in competition with other teams. The qualifying offer better be there for him. I don't know if a minor league signing can have a qualifying offer, but if it doesn't, give him all the money, because not only is he doing it on the field, the leadership we've heard about him, telling the players to hit the ball more in the air, telling the players they need more fire, the subsequent meeting that Tony had right there. Johnny Cueto deserves his credit. He is the White Sox most valuable player this year. And I know that Dylan Cease has been a better pitcher, but there's no person that is more valuable to the White Sox than Johnny Cueto. That's just my feeling about 2022.
It's an interesting thought. It's listen, the on-the-field stuff is inarguable. He's been absolutely fantastic for them. And, I mean, it's not just he's going out there and making good starts. He's going out there and going into the 9th inning. You know what I mean? This guy is he's really been a model starting pitcher. These guys always talk about wanting to, go out there every day with the mindset of I'm going to go 9 innings and save the bullpen and stuff like that. He's doing that on an every 5th day basis at this point. He's been terrific, and he has been a very good clubhouse presence for them. I don't know if some of the stuff that he's said has actually lined up necessarily with, the team taken off and it hasn't taken off. So I guess that's why. But
they only seem to win when him or Dylan Cease pitch for some reason.
But even still, the team's record when Johnny pitches is not great. You know what I mean? It's right around 500, maybe a couple games over, a couple wins over. But that obviously speaks more to the team than it does to him. Yeah. So it was a great signing. If you're talking long term, you do have to think about the age of this guy. I mean, there was a reason he only got a minor league deal this year. He obviously won't get that going into next year because of the production. But he very well could be the most valuable player just because he filled a hole that you thought was going to be unfillable. I mean, if Dallas Keuchel's still pitching for this team, he's not putting up those kind of numbers. And not only that, but let's say Dallas gets booted in a non-Cueto world the way he did. Is the guy that's coming up, is Davis Martin going to be doing that, that reliably every 5 days? Probably not as good as he's been for them. So he's been terrific, and he certainly deserves to be in the Herbie Sunshine portion of the show because he's earned it.
And I don't want to go back to living in the non-Cueto world or the pre-Cueto world. It's just I don't remember anything about it. I blocked it out of my memory. But he's everything you want in a player for your organization. Preaching accountability, taking the ball every day if you're a starting pitcher, but then backing it up on the field. That's an important part of it because I think that's what we missed with the Dallas Keuchel signing. It's like he preached the accountability and the leadership, and he checked those boxes. And you go back to 2020 when he called out the team for their lack of effort and things like that, but he didn't do enough of it on the field. That year he did, but after that, not so much. And it's just been a joy to watch him every 5 days because I remember go back to May whenever it was they signed him. You're like, okay, I'm here for the Cueto thing for as long as it has to happen for it. Like until Lance Lynn returns, then we'll be done with Johnny Cueto. And I was here for it just to see the Johnny Cueto experience, the spectacle, like, the messing with the timing on the mound. It's just, I thought it was going to be fun. I had no idea it was going to be this good for as long as it's been. And, we were talking about before the show, a little topic for you guys in the chat maybe, but we were talking about one-off great seasons by White Sox, if you want to call them mercenaries, guys that were here for one season only, and they put up great numbers, and they were sort of like, defining characters on their teams that year. Herb mentioned a really good one in 1993. So you're talking about guys that with the White Sox, one solid year, then they were out on, contention teams ideally. And Herb mentioned one right out of the chute that really was a really good one.
I would just mention that Ellis Burks, I didn't know if he played multiple years, but he only played 1 year. Ellis Burks had a great 1993 and then was off the team because Darren Jackson took over in 94.
DJ came in right after that.
And he had a good one off year, and then he went to Japan and then came back eventually. But yeah.
And then in 94, Franco comes in. Julio Franco comes in.
Franco
has a great year in 94. So that's just a fun thing if you guys want to put it in the chat maybe if you guys think of any great 1 year wonders for the White Sox.
My mind always goes naturally to Ivan Nova, his 4.72 ERA in 2019.
That's right.
Ivan Champagne Supernova
in the sky.
He gets a nickname. Ooh, wow.
He had so many moments in that 2019 season where I would throw Ivan Champagne Supernova in the sky up there. But it doesn't feel like there's a lot of those. I feel like Ellis Burks is probably one, and then I don't know.
Esteban Loaiza was here for a little bit more than a year. His Cy Young, Cy Young runner up for 2003, one of the great seasons we've seen, starting the All-Star game. But then he gets traded in 2004 for Jose Contreras. So he's here for a little bit more than a year. But yeah, there's not many. That's why you have to appreciate the greatness while it's happening. And Johnny Cueto has certainly been that, and just really fun to watch.
Esteban Loaiza is in jail longer than his White Sox career.
That's right.
I'll tell you what.
Yes.
There's no one else smuggling drugs.
Esteban Loaiza.
Jesus Christ.
Esteban Loaiza. This is a true story. So if you go to Las Vegas, they have like a silly fake Walk of Fame, like the one they have in Hollywood, right, with all the names on it. There's like a non-promoted one in Vegas. That's like the Vegas Walk of Fame. Esteban Loaiza has a star on the Vegas Walk of Fame. I have no idea why, but I was walking outside the MGM Grand following the winter meetings one time, and there it is, the Esteban Loaiza star on the sidewalk.
Love that. Another reason to go back to Vegas.
Do they have ceremonies for that one? I'm going my first time in October to Vegas, and it's gonna be a blast.
Ooh.
First time, wow.
I'm now gonna go visit the Esteban Loaiza star.
I mean, I
outside the
thought
MGM.
you literally just decided that's why you're going to Vegas for the first time.
You
There
gotta
was
get
no
it.
previous trip plan.
You got to get on the ground and do a selfie with that Esteban Loaiza star
You
on
know
the
I
Walk
will.
of Fame.
It'll be the first thing I do.
Yes, because laying on the sidewalk in Vegas is very advisable.
Yes. I don't know. It sounds like a good day. Sounds like a day, time. Whatever. It sounds like a good time.
Oh boy.
Yeah, a couple of El Duque
Brent
mentions.
Lillibridge had a 123 OPS. In
Yeah, but
2011.
we're not
was here
talking
for
like
multiple
one-off.
years.
Those are. We're not talking just one-off good years. We're talking about you were here for a year and you bounced and went somewhere else. Like Jake, our GM, says, Jeff Blum, he had one good moment
Yeah.
and a half of the
helps.
season, but I get it.
Jake
But
also
hey,
came in with a
anytime,
super chat. Said,
anytime anybody can bring up the Thriller Bridge, that's exciting.
yes.
Yeah.
And anytime they could bring up Blummer. I mean, who wouldn't want to talk to Blummer?
What was Lillibridge's nickname from
The
Darren?
Crusher.
The Crusher.
Because he had that season where just hitting big home run after big home run.
Yeah, 123 OPS, 2011.
Yeah, 2011. And that kid cried when he got traded, or I forgot what his demise was with the White Sox, but he was traded or released, and that kid had that video on social media.
Now that kid's like
crying.
25.
Yeah,
Probably still sad.
probably in the chat today.
Probably
it's probably who mentioned him.
Probably has a Brent Lillibridge tattoo. Jake Flanagan coming in with the super chat. Preacher, he's a guy you can count on to be on the mound in the postseason. Brent Lillibridge was traded in the Tyler Flowers trade for Javi Vasquez, I think.
That's right.
Or no, wait, no, that was how Zach Stewart and Kevin Youkilis. Lillibridge was traded to Boston Red Sox with Zach Stewart for Kevin Youkilis. So he was in the Uke trade. So that kid was trying over Kevin Youkilis. I mean, he got a Greek god coming back for Thriller.
But Euclid said, didn't have a great year that year, but certainly was a part of a good team that ultimately fell short. But yeah, Euclid maybe. But yeah, I see a lot of love for El Duque in the chat. But I couldn't remember if El Duque came back in 2006. I don't think he did. I think that was a one-year deal for El Duque as well.
Yeah, Uke in 2012 was 80 games, a 108 OPS.
Okay.
I think somebody there's other Sean brings up Danny Tartabull. That year, 254, 340 on base with a 487 slugging percentage. He had 27 home runs and 101 RBIs in 1996. So, yeah, it's a good pull. I blocked those years out after the strike year because the Cleveland Indians were just murdering the White Sox, and they would just finish in second place. And I was like, I forgot that Danny Tartabull was on the White Sox for a year. That was it. And then he went to the Phillies, and his career was over.
I don't remember.
White Sox players that have been on Seinfeld.
Like he literally played in only 3 games with the Phillies in 1997. He's like, all right, it's been great.
I'm going to bounce.
Yeah.
Orlando Hernandez, one season with the White Sox, had a higher ERA than Ivan Nova.
Oh, he was terrible during the regular season.
Ivan Nova, better White Sox than Orlando Hernandez.
Yeah,
We're going to forget about the postseason. I got a blind resume for you guys. They do this on the games, but apparently they're not playing a game in Cleveland today. So they do the swap meet. They have that, trademarked, and I can't use
And this is
swap
nothing
meet.
like it.
Yeah, right. There's nothing else like it. So we're going to do blind resume. I came up with this term. Would you rather have the guy on the left or the guy on the right? Guy on the left, 13 1/3 innings, 19 hits allowed, 13 earned runs, 6 walks, 5 Ks, and 6 home runs allowed. The guy on the right, 118 2/3 innings, 113 hits allowed, 34 earned runs, 25 walks, 73 Ks, and 11 home runs.
I mean, it's obvious a thing where that guy on the left is going to be some guy that is great in the White Sox history.
True.
And so you look at the guy on the right with more innings pitched, you look over there. So I'm going to go for the guy on the left. I'm sure that's like somebody who's great in the White Sox history.
All right.
In a short period.
Vinny?
So this is over the course of what?
This is 1 year.
This is over the course of a season?
1 year.
Well, I would have to imagine that if you want, you're not paying somebody to pitch 13 innings, right?
No.
So I would imagine that the guy on the right had the better of those 2 blind years, absolutely.
Okay. Tanny?
Because we're here at CHGO and we're doing things on a different level, on the next level, I'm going to go with the guy on the right as well. I feel like it's a trap. I feel like it's a trap.
It's a double trick question.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
exactly. You really want me to pick the guy on the left, as Herb said, but I'm going to go with the guy on the right.
I'm going to stall and go to Senior Sox' super chat. Shout out to Senior Sox, who says, doing a bump off the Loaiza star bucket list. He also said that your voice does things to him. So, there you go. Shout out to Senior Sox. We talk.
Hey, kids, don't do bumps at all. Neither off the star nor off a dollar bill or off anybody.
This is the only one you should be doing right here.
Yes.
There we go.
No bumps for the kids. Stay off the drugs.
Herbie Sunshine.
Herbie Sunshine.
So if we go back to the Vine resume, when we had the episode when the Sox signed Johnny Cueto, we compared it to Irvin Santana's time with the White Sox.
Son of a bitch.
Yes.
That's Irvin Santana, and that's Johnny Cueto.
Hilariously, it's also Odrisamer Despaigne because they made the exact same amount of starts that year and gave up the exact same amount of runs.
So you could just swap out any person on the left there. We said that is the equivalent. In White Sox history, when Johnny Cueto was signed, it was similar to Irvin Santana.
It was the same kind of signing. One of them did not work at all. One of them has worked greatly.
I mean, there's very few people that were like, I'm jazzed that the White Sox signed Johnny Cueto, and I think he's going to have a great year. There's very few far between people like that. So, yeah, we were like, who the hell is Johnny Cueto? I was like, Johnny Cueto's going to be nothing on this team. He's trash. I know he had a 4 ERA with San Francisco last year, but there's a reason why he only signed a minor league deal. He's garbage. And I could not be happier to be wrong. The man is a savior of this season, even though this season is pretty bad.
Well, and that's why I kind of don't want to give Rick Hahn too much credit for this signing because he was forced into the signing.
Hey,
Anyone
I crap
could have
on Rick
signed
Hahn
him.
all the time.
I know.
You got to give him credit for, hey.
Why?
I go out. We give him credit for the.
He was the only guy that was worth
He
signing.
pulled the trigger. I guarantee if he didn't pull the trigger and he's on some other team, you're like, Rick Hahn, what the fuck are you doing out there? You had Dallas. I mean, you had that guy available, and same thing with Elvis Andrus. If Elvis Andrus signs on a different team, Rick Hahn, what are you doing? I'm gonna give credit where it's due. He pulled the trigger. He got the job done. So that is a feather in Rick Hahn's cap, and I'll tip the cap to him.
There won't be a lot of cap.
There won't be a lot. There
There
won't be a lot, but hell, he signed him. He saw there was a need, and he got the guy that he had to get. Now, I guarantee Rick didn't think this was going to happen.
No, well, that's I guess maybe that's my point. Rick does deserve credit for signing him, but no one thought this was happening. I mean, no one thought he was going to be the savior of the White Sox. And two, we thought maybe we could get 4 to 6 weeks out of him. Mm-hmm. If you get 4 to 6 weeks out of him, all right, bye Johnny Cueto, we'll release you. Thanks for coming. Go to some other team.
Santana, and that's all that needs to happen.
And now he's the second pitcher in the postseason if they make it.
And to speak to my point about Rick Hahn, people kill Rick Hahn for trading for Craig Kimbrell because it didn't work out. They say, oh, that was a terrible trade, horrible trade. How can you trade Nick, and how can you trade Cody Hoyer? What the hell? They give him crap for the trade not working out eventually. You got to give him credit for this signing, which only cost him like $3 million, of drop in the bucket for getting Johnny Cueto on this team.
I don't know if you've been watching the Cubs, but had he not pulled the trigger on that trade, it wouldn't have worked out very well either.
No, I mean, Nick Madrigal's hitting now, finally. He's doing a singles thing. I don't like him, but, he might work out for the Cubs.
And Ryan and Cody are guys from CHGO Cubs. They just do not take it well when you don't talk well about Nick Madrigal. They really want to protect their boy.
They've got a soft spot there.
They really do.
They should.
Our guy Zach coming in with the super chat saying, "Send your Sox go to a White Sox game." So maybe just sending a message here. I don't know if you guys you've been to a lot this year. Maybe you can get Senior Sox to go to a game.
Yeah, I have not been out there a lot. I did go out there for the Houston series. We were out there with our friend Cody Decker, Herb, and Shane was out there with us as well. So, but not a lot. I got to tell you, this is not a team that is like begging you to come out and spend money and watch them. Just over the course of the year, that's not the main reason why I haven't gone, because still going to a ball game, still one of my favorite things to do, obviously. And the team, although scuffling, it's still, you're going to have more of a fun time than not going to a ball game. But I've not been to a ton of games this year. We did make the San Francisco trip, which was a lot of fun. But beyond that, I haven't even taken my family out there this year because it's not a team, like I said, begging you to come on out and spend money.
Well, I know you and BMAC and Herb usually go on your little ballpark trip. So you've probably gotten used to Herb's accents. Our guy Zach wants Herb to do Italian Herb.
No,
it's a request.
That's a different thing. It's last year when
you gotta explain it in an Italian.
So wipe. No, goodness gracious, you want
Mamma
me
mia.
You want me to get canceled today? Last year when we were doing Locked On Sox,
There's no
Danny
White
and
Sox
I,
game to react to.
I don't know if the guy was dictating this to his phone.
So when we would get the voicemails,
Yeah.
I would on Gmail.
Oh, yeah, that's what it
on the
was.
Gmail voicemail feature, it would give you the courtesy of having a nice little transcription So when I was there, I was the producer and co-host. Whenever you would go through and screen voicemails, you could sort of read a brief synopsis before you decided to punch them up, because we'd punch them up like they were live calls in the moment. I didn't listen to them beforehand. So whenever people would always come in, hey, Italian Herb, whatever. But this one came in as, hey, Italian Herb. So Italian Herb became a character on Locked On White Sox. And, so you could see what launched Herb into this incredible position here at a media company like this. It's great bits like that.
Yeah, and he's heard my Brendan McCaffrey his dad's from Ireland, and so I do a voice that is of Patrick McCaffrey's thing, and it sounds usually Jamaican. It's like, Brendan, get your ass in here. But my accents are always spot on.
Yeah, Cockney Herb.
There was
my favorite.
There was a girl from the UK for the Cubs here the other day,
Rachel.
and I was so close to doing an accent, but I thought she would be offended by one. I was going to do it.
She probably would have been. That was a good call, her.
So I bit my tongue. I was like, I was going to say, top of the morning to you, governor. Chip and Cheerio. No? No one? No? Doesn't work?
Is rain delay over yet?
I appreciate you
I'm
giving it a
literally
shot.
going over the UK and I'm doing that right in front of their faces.
What's happening is the PointsBet Watchalong. There's no game to watch. What we've been watching in the screen for Peacock is the Sunday leadoff. Dylan Cease and Jose Ramirez will apparently play, but there is just a weather delay.
When is Dylan going to throw that pitch?
It's great athleticism to hold.
Just hold that position.
It's that Cueto effect.
That's
Dropping the
that
timing.
core velocity belt that Ethan
Yep.
Katz put on him.
Yep.
It's the yoga. It's built up a lot of core in young Dylan. But feel free to sign up with our friends at PointsBook. It's the best sports book out there. If you bet $51 or more pregame or live on the PointsBet app using the code CHGO, you'll get the exclusive PointsBet Southside collection. That's $2,000 in free bets, a free CHGO membership, which unlocks written content from our great beat writers. You got Vinny's work on the White Sox beat. You got the Cubs beat. You have the Bulls, Blackhawks, Bears, Red Stars, Fire. We got it all for you, all written coverage at allchgo.com. And you get our access to our CHGO Discord. So you get to jump into the CHGO Lounge, talk to all of our CHGO personalities. Vinny just threw in questions for a mailbag, right?
Yeah, that's coming soon.
So
Soon.
that's coming soon. So whenever we do stuff like that, whether it's a Q&A in the Discord, mailbags for an all CHGO piece, that's where you get to hang out with us and ask us questions and chat with us. And also, you get a free size C shirt, and you get a free CHGO sock shirt. Only available with this offer, and you get the pair of slides from the CHGO locker. So bet $51 on the PointsBet app using code CHGO, $2,000 in free bets, a CHGO yearly membership, a size C sock shirt, an exclusive CHGO sock script shirt, and a pair of slides from the CHGO locker are all yours over at our friends PointsBet. And all you have to do is sign up on the PointsBet app using code CHGO. It's the best deal in town, and it just got better. So there you go.
So with this tarp still being on the field, I see no reason why I can't throw out a plug for myself and 6-7 to the score real quick. I know Mitch Rosen would be very pleased if I mentioned this, but you guys know BetQL, which is Odyssey's great betting network. They've got their own app, and you can check them out on Twitch as well. But if you download the BetQL app, the Parkins and Spiegel show this Tuesday, while the Sox are in Balmer, we're going to be doing a live chat on the BetQL app. So Parkins and Spiegel, myself, Shane Reardon, we're all going to be there in a live chat with the BetQL folks. So you'll be able to download the app and see all the cool things that they have going on and chat with us during Tuesday's game against the A's. So it's a fun plug out there, and also every day 2 to 6 as well, and 6-7 score. So download that BetQL app for a live chat with the Parkins and Spiegel show.
Will Manny Machado be there?
Manny Machado. Not
Sal
Bandu.
Bandu?
I don't get the reference.
It's Tim
It's
Kirk.
another accent thing. We're bringing
Maryland
it back.
accent.
Yeah, Tim
I'm
Kirkton used to laugh his ass off when Scott Van Pelt would do the Baltimore accent to him. It's really funny.
Well, when we went to LP Steamers there, you ever been there, Vinny, in your travels to Baltimore?
I haven't. I like going to Annapolis to have the crabs Riverside in Annapolis.
Oh, wow. That's next level right there.
It really is.
Another reason to go back, I
Absolutely.
think. But we would go to this place in Locust Point called LP Steamers, and the guy, was everything you want, bringing you the fresh crab, and they had a thing called the Natty Boatload, where it was like, it was little crab, shrimp, mussels, everything, just with that Old Bay, just pour down there real good. But they were talking back then, that was 2016. They would say, "Oh, all the players coming here. Manny Machado who comes in here all the time." It was like, "Oh, chef's kiss." That's exactly what we came here for. Not the natty bow and the great crab legs, but like that accent is why you came.
Will you guys during this bring up you and Brendan's story about Boog Powell?
Yeah, we'll see how long this rain delay goes.
Well, how long do you want to stay? Because Russ Dorsey apparently is joining us at 12.
All right, yeah, I will. I love Russ. Maybe we'll get a little crossover with Russ just so I can say hello. Although that would be a real Richard move if I left immediately as soon as Russ joined. I did mention I brought my daughter here, and she looks like her interest in this whole YouTube thing for Dad is waning. She's gone through her bag of popcorn that I thought, oh, one little snack here to last us here, but it's really getting close to lunchtime. But yeah, I don't know how much longer past noon I'll be able to hang because I have my daughter here. So we'll skedaddle in a minute. So yeah. The Boog Powell thing. So he's got his barbecue stand out there at Oriole Park in Camden Yards in the outfield, and he was one of my dad's favorite players of all time. So I told B-Mac, Brendan McCaffrey, I was like, we got to go say what's up to Boog and see what's up with this. He was one of the great Orioles players in the 70s, 60s, 70s, and an MVP, I believe, for one season. But he's got his barbecue stand out there in the outfield. And I want to take a picture with Boog, get a baseball autograph for my dad. And so he's like, "Oh, how long you guys in town for?" Like, "Oh, we're here for the series." And we're saying, "Hey, you got any food recommendations other than your great barbecue stand out here in the outfield? We can't eat every meal out here." And it's like, "Yeah, we're going out to Locust Point to this spot, LP Steamers." Like, "Oh, a little sketchy over there." And we're like it's Baltimore, so there's gonna be a lot of sketchy areas out there.
The whole city is sketchy.
Yeah, basically. And actually, Locust Point, not that bad if you've ever been out there. So yeah, Boog if we had followed Boog Powell's advice, we would not have had the best meal in Baltimore that I've had. Like in terms of all my road trips, that one out there in Baltimore is right up there at the top. So don't always listen to former AL MVPs. For all you youngsters out there, their advice sometimes is not that great, but it was still cool, and Boog was great, and my dad was thrilled to get that autographed baseball. So.
If Steve Stone tells you Cal Fisheries is too sketchy to go, avoid that advice. Right. The fried catfish is fantastic.
Get some lake trout there too.
Yeah. Anthony Bass too, another MLB player with a fish name.
That he is.
Sorry.
It's a rain delay, folks.
It is a rain delay. Demond also wants you to do your Herb Boston accent. If you got one,
I don't have one. No, I don't. I'm trying to think of who. Like The Departed. That's it.
There you
That's
go.
All I can say.
Wow.
Great.
One
The
word.
Departed.
That was fantastic. Tanny, as a big Wire guy, how'd you feel when Omar's Whistle was used as a closer walkout song?
Who used that?
You didn't see that?
No, I did not see that.
It was the Baltimore Oriole guy.
Really?
Yeah, it was after this whole Edwin Diaz thing and Liam
Yeah.
Hendricks' whole horrible walkout. He used Omar's Whistle.
Wow, I love that. I'm
thought
sure we'll see
that would have been
it.
on your radar.
We'll see it this week, I'm sure, with the way this offense is going. So that's really cool. I like that. I love closers bringing it back to the theater and the performance. I felt like we lost that a little bit. Maybe 2020 had a part of that with no fans in the stands or whatever. But I feel like growing up, like Mariano Rivera with the Gold Standard, with the Metallica, like I got to see that in person a couple times. That's really cool. But I love the gamesmanship and the theatrics of a closer coming into a signature song. I know they all got their songs, but some hit harder than others. Like you guys may remember Bobby Jenks when the POD would get cranked there in the good old days there. But yeah, I love that. I love a closer knowing his audience. That's great. That's top notch right there.
I mean, Trevor Hoffman with Hell's Bells. Does it get better than that? Just you hear it and you're like, all right, it's time for this game to be over.
Interesting.
Walking in.
Does it get better than that? Yeah, it does. The best closer of all time.
I mean, he's actually better, but I think Hell's Bells is a better entrance than.
It's a much better song generally.
Than Enter Sandman.
Yeah. Eric Gagne had Game Over by Lil Flip, I believe.
Lil Flip?
Yeah.
I don't remember Lil Flip.
For all you youngsters out there.
Now he's just regular
Gangster
Flip.
rap.
He's Big Flip now. Yeah.
Enter Sandman's a cooler closer song. It's literally we're putting you to sleep. He's the Sandman. The game's over. It's metaphorical. Come on, guys.
I'm with you.
No, I understand the
about the
reference.
song
I'm just
itself,
saying, just say I like Hell's Bells is a better song, in my opinion.
But if you were
Rather
going to be
hear it.
if you were going to be a closer, Hell's Bells or Entertainment, you're still just picking the better song.
Between those two,
Yeah.
I'm going to pick the song that I like more.
Yeah, and it
Come on
has
now.
the
Or you could be like Liam Hendricks and you don't have to pick. You could just play them both at the same time.
all.
you
It's a
go.
mishmash of
Yeah,
music.
just play them all
Yep.
together. Yeah, I couldn't choose between these 4 songs, so here they all are at once.
gonna
Yeah,
play
just turn the lights off or something, and people won't care.
You guys did a lot of White Sox games. Connor Smith's asking, what song did Addison Reed come into? You guys remember Addison Reed's walk into?
Ooh.
Did he really get
we
people?
would put all the songs in the system, Herb. Remember, whenever
Yeah.
a closer would come in with a specific song, we would always lead them in on the radio broadcast side with their song. I knew it at one point in time, but as the years go on, so I'm sure something else has replaced that piece of useful information in my brain.
Birthday or something?
What was it? Oh, does that person remember? I would love
I don't
to know
know.
because it's going to be killing me all day. I'll be driving home like, what was that damn song?
They have a couple here for Addison Reed. Glory Days by Bruce Springsteen.
That wasn't the one.
Ba Wada Ba from Kid Rock.
I think that was it. I think that was the one he used with the White Sox.
And then Shimmy Shimmy Ya by Old Dirty Bastard.
Now that I would have remembered.
Yeah.
That's a weird mix.
Yeah.
ODB, Kid Rock,
And
Bruce
Bruce
Springsteen.
And I love Glory Days, but that's not a good walkout song.
Like unless he was pandering, like that was during his Mets tenure. He's pandering to that New York fan base with Little Boss. I'm sure maybe that's what that was, but I'm pretty sure it was just Kid Rock when he was with the White Sox.
Hey, I tell you guys all the time, I have a perfect answer to these questions. I've picked my walk-up song.
And that is?
It's working for MCA by Leonard Skinner. Tremendous guitar at the beginning. Oh, it's great.
You just need the guitar?
People would get amped.
Gets the people going.
They're just the entire ballpark would be doing the guitar cam at the same time.
For Leonard Skinner.
Yeah,
I don't even know what song you're talking about.
All right.
look it up.
All
It's
right. Well,
great.
we can't play Leonard Skinner.
Yeah, not
on
now.
the damn
Just,
broadcast.
put it on your
We're
to-do
still
list.
figuring out how we're going to hear Russ Dorsey.
When he was a Met, Addison Reed had "This Is Why I'm Hot" by Mims.
Okay.
Oof. He had a tough man. That is a
What year was
terrible
that?
song.
It was with the Met. I was going to say that was a big record at a time. I don't know if it was a big record at that time. That seemed like it was a little late on the
Yeah,
cultural.
in 2017, he was playing that song. He was really rocking back with the gangster.
This is why I'm hot.
Is Addison
because
Reed
I'm
ever
fly.
hot? Is Addison Reed ever that good enough to use that song?
He was good as a
Yeah,
White
yeah.
Sox closer, and then they trade him for Matt Davidson, White Sox pitcher extraordinaire.
White Sox legend in his own right. Shout out to Zoe, who's dropping in with a $5 super chat. Nothing
Zoe.
witty to say this time. Great show, fellas. Sean's shirt screams, "I smoke cigs" inside. We can do that. We have a live watch along. If you want to go pick up cigarettes, I can smoke live here
no.
in studio.
No, I'm vetoing that.
We're vetoing.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Illinois.
I tried.
We don't smoke inside.
Yeah.
I went to Ohio.
There's a door right there.
They can still smoke
You
inside.
go stand out over there if you're going to do that.
Yeah, the state of Ohio, you could still smoke inside, which is ridiculous. It's very repressive. You can't even smoke weed there, but you can smoke like fucking cigarettes inside of a building. Puritans.
Your guy Adam Dunn, who you visited out in Cleveland last time, walked up to Bob Seger's "Turn the Page," but it was a Metallica cover.
Yeah.
That's
Don't
pretty
like
sick.
that. That's although probably better than that awful Michael Kopech entrance music that he was using earlier this year.
Was he last time when I saw him the other day? He was using Johnny Cash.
That's the new one.
Yeah.
That's new for the last month or so. For the first 4 months of the season, it was a cover of Leonard Skinner's "Simple Man" by Shinedown. It was real bad. Yeah, it was real
I've
bad.
never heard of this band.
That's awful.
Dude, Will
Shinedown's
Thrasher, yes,
real
came in
awful.
reviews. Fantastic, great song, love it.
So this is from the Sun Times back in 2013. Apparently, Robin Ventura, your guy, prefers "Sound of Silence"
By Simon and Garfunkel?
By Simon and Garfunkel. It becomes individualistically really, but things change. Fans like it. I don't know if he was talking about specifically "Sound of Silence," but yeah, they were just talking about. And then Diane Viciedo walked up to "I'm Thug" by Trick Daddy. So yeah, know your mean Mercedes and Paul Wall that we have to rock out for. But yeah, we got the Cleveland and White Sox game in a rain delay.
Still,
No
Same
weather
rain delay.
update. No.
no
Yeah,
updates.
and this is the thing. Like, they have to be in Kansas City tomorrow to play a makeup game.
tomorrow morning.
Yeah, so this is not ideal.
1 p.m.?
Flying from flying from Cleveland, going to Kansas City, and then flying to Baltimore for a Tuesday.
Tomorrow's a day game.
Right. So if you're the White Sox, this is one you're fighting to get started because you got your best pitcher on the mound. You're hoping maybe for a short game.
Yep.
Maybe for the way they're thinking, it's probably could be worth the wait here. If you can just get 5 innings with your best pitcher out there, that's one that you'll probably campaign to stick around for, I would imagine. I don't know how much they have in this decision, but I would think this is one that they're willing to wait around for.
Well, it was
we've
one
been
that
laughing.
you needed to take 2 out of 3 or at least sweep them.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of importance to the season, I mean, this is the team you're chasing in the division. You want this head-to-head so you can beat them. It didn't obviously work out on Friday night, but we've been laughing at this stupid one-day trip to Kansas City tomorrow. This game gets rained out. They're going to be making a stupid one-day trip to Cleveland at some point later this year.
End of the regular season, very last game of the year.
Right. Yeah, they go to
for the division.
Could they do that?
I mean,
Well, they play
they have
Kansas
games
City.
scheduled, right?
there is a
Right.
mutual
Yeah.
off day.
Do we know
that-
when it is? Probably a Monday.
sometime in
They're off
September.
like
I
every
forgot it
Monday
was.
in September. So
I know Cleveland plays Kansas City just to end the season in like 6 straight games.
all in Cleveland, all home games.
We were
6 straight
talking
home
about
games.
that, Herb and I, before the show, about the idea of, would you rather face Kansas City than not if you're either of these teams that are at the top of the AL Central here? And I'm on team. I don't want no part of the Royals at the end of the. I'd rather just play the team that's either ahead of you or directly behind you than have to mess around with a team like Kansas City, as we saw. What was that last week when they were down there?
Jeez.
Like I want no part of the try hard contact hitting underdog team, the spoiler team. I don't love
The Guardians?
that.
You're talking about the Guardians? That's what they are, right?
Right.
They just happen to be in first place.
And Vinny Pesquitino and those guys are coming up there. Melendez. If I was the White Sox, yes, I would much rather play the Padres and the Twins than playing 6 straight versus the Royals. But if I'm the Guardians, I don't know if the Guardians handled the Kansas City Royals well, which they should. The White Sox do not. The last 2 years, last year they lost the season series. This year they're losing the season series versus the Royals. So sometimes teams just match up well versus you. You've seen the Oakland A's sweep the Houston Astros. When the White Sox see the Astros like that, how'd you guys do that? You guys are great.
The Guardians spent $35 million on their payroll, but they've done what you need to do to win the division. They've beaten all their division opponents. They have a plus 500 record against all of the American League Central teams. So the White Sox can't say that. They're getting beat by the Kansas City Royals. They're getting beat by the Guardians. They're getting beat by the Twins.
Do you have it up there where the Guardians KC matchup and what's the record so far this year?
I don't right now. I do have the next off day that they share is the 15th of September. So
What day of the week is
that's
that?
a Thursday.
Oof, that's real tough, friends. Especially like if the White Sox are coming out of
Before they go to
somewhere
Detroit.
else.
They're going to Detroit that weekend
Oh, that's not
on
too
the
bad.
16th, so they just make a little pit stop in the Cleve.
Cleveland's 6-4 versus the Royals.
Still
10-9 versus Tigers.
Still got 9 games left with them.
Yeah, and 6 of them end the season.
Yeah, so the Royals, the Royals will determine the outcome of the AL Central, as it should be.
As it should be.
as we all thought. But that's the good thing with the White Sox. That week they play in Oakland on Sunday, have an off day on Monday, 2 games in the middle of the week versus Colorado at home. So if they bang this game, going to Cleveland to make up this one, and then a weekend series, as Vinny said, in Detroit. It's not that taxing to the White Sox. And then they have an off day the next day. So the White Sox won't be too much inconvenienced by this game getting banged. I think in their interest, it would probably be the best for this game to get banged for them. So they have Dylan Cease going for that one game in Kansas City. And then when they do make this up, they're kind of fresh because of all the off days they have.
There you go. Yeah, we'll and I mean, and right now they're dealing with 21 games in 20 days too. So, that's Carlos Perez being put to work. That's all of your pitchers being put to work. And that's why Johnny Cueto eating up 8 2/3 of an inning last night is huge. Tony's huge thing is you don't want to lose the game and lose arms. So the White Sox were able to win that game and protect arms as well.
And a little bit more Herbie Sunshine. The fact that he took
Wow, you're embracing that right
the
away.
fact that he took out Cueto when he did, kudos to Tony La Russa. Like, I thought he was just going to let him pitch until the wheels fall off, but he saw that the Oscar Gonzalez had a great day versus Cueto, a walk, single, and a double. Saw the matchup, and it's like, okay, we're going to take you out. It was a great game. We would love for you to have a shutout, but also getting the win here is the most important, and Oscar Gonzalez represents a tying run here, so we're not going to even mess with it. So thumbs up. Thumbs up to my man. I was even surprised that he brought him back out for the 9th. after 100 pitches, but Johnny Cueto's a pitcher's pitcher.
Well, and he said he was bored waiting for the rain delay to stop. So, he just wanted to do something with this time. A huge day. And Liam converts his 19th straight save as well. So that's pretty damn good. That's
He's been Liam Hendricks, right?
Absolutely. All right, Tanny, I got a final question for you. Will the White Sox make the playoffs?
I will. I won't be someone who wavers off their initial prediction. I said they would win the division at the beginning of the year. As the year has transpired, I would.
New information hasn't changed that at all.
No, I know, but I'm a guy that likes to stick to his guns, and I still think they will prevail and win this division. Like I thought the route getting there, I was willing to change my stance on that. I didn't think either of these teams were particularly strong. I thought this was a team destined for 85 wins. It seems like that's sort of like what we're looking at here. They'll have to pick it up a little bit. In general, like just to win this thing, but I'll stick to it, man. Like that was my initial prediction. I thought they had the talent, and I still think they have the talent compared to the other teams around them, Cleveland and Minnesota. So I will stick to my prediction that they will hold on to this thing and win the AL Central.
I think every fan hopes you're right. The
I
more
know.
and more I see the play, I don't
feel great about it, and it's not where it's not what we signed up for. Like backing into another division championship again, it'll be historic. 3 straight postseason appearances, back-to-back division championships. That type of stuff is what we signed up for. But backing into the postseason and the way this season, hasn't been many enjoyable moments this season at all. So I think this is one of those things where it's like a begrudging. I think we'd all be thrilled beyond belief if this team won the Central, as opposed to. Going into the season, it was like, that's the bar. Winning the Central is the bar, and then beating the Astros should be the next step. But I think if they get in, they'll be a one-and-done team. But stranger things have happened. It is baseball. So I think they will overcome. And the strength of schedules, as we just talked about, I think favors the White Sox a little bit. So I think if they have anything going for them, it's that. But with these injuries, as they always seem to be having them at inopportune times, like that may hurt a little bit. And not having Grandal possibly for a while, even though he has been producing, his absence I think will sting a little bit. But yeah, I think the schedule and the pitching will ultimately be what carries them through to another division championship. So we'll see. Well,
and whenever I see the word artist from Jesus Shuttlesworth, Cueto is an artist. I think of you, and what an artist!
What an artist!
What an artist!
The great Ted Leitner, Herb's guy. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Another quick plug. Go to my SoundCloud if anyone wants
Yes.
to check out any of my DJ stuff. I've got Windy City Soul Volume 3. It's a DJ mix with soul, funk, jazz, original breaks. You know me from my production work on the radio, sports radio stuff, but once in a while I will do a DJ mix. So SoundCloud.com/Chris Tannehill. I kind of put it out quietly before I went on vacation. Haven't promoted it a lot, but it's right there. It's the top thing if you click on my SoundCloud page, SoundCloud.com/Chris Tannehill. And of course, check me out, Parkinson Spiegel, every day, 2 to 6 on 670 The Score.
Well, I was listening to your new mix too, and I was like, why do I know the sample? It was the Crime Pays one. And
There you go.
I was
Yeah,
like, hey,
exactly.
there you go. Tanny making more magic. So we appreciate Chris Tannehill joining us. Again, you can follow him on Twitter at Chris Tannehill. Audio Overlord at 670 The Score, 2 to 6 p.m. Monday through Fridays on the Parkinson Spiegel Show. And as you mentioned it, check out his SoundCloud. He posts all of his guest intro that hype him up during that Mark Cuban Ice Cube, right?
Mark Cuban, Ice Cube. Yeah, when you have Mark Cuban on during the pandemic, you better hype him up. And Mark Cuban has done even better things ever since coming on. So I'll take a little bit of credit for that. But hi, Russ Dorsey. I've got to take off. I got my kid here. It's nothing personal. I know I said I would stick around for a little bit, but I'm so happy to see you, Russ, here for a lot of reasons. That tarp's still on the field. Oh, they're converging with the umpires. Tito Francona is out there with the umpires, and they're trying to figure out what they're going to do. I think they're taking a look at the outfield and seeing if it's playable out there. We mentioned it was bad an hour ago. I can imagine it hasn't gotten much better since.
Oh, my goodness.
Debo just stopped and made a big old splash.
It doesn't look like this game.
They woke Tony up for a little bit.
Roger
to go out
Bossard's
there.
like, amateurs out there in Cleveland.
Ooh,
Like,
that
we went
warning
to a
track.
game early in the year versus Tampa, and it rained really hard for a couple innings. And then an inning later, shit was fucking just soaked up.
Tony called Roger Bossard? The man with the
Golden
golden
Rake
rake
Man.
Golden Rake Man?
Yeah.
So
Golden Rake Man.
We got to see the rake mechanic a few weeks ago. Remember that? When they had to alter the mound a little bit? We got to see, bring the rake. What a treat. But that should be on the season-long highlight montage.
Yeah, the warning track is still deluged with water.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they can even come close to playing this game because Sean looked at the radar and it still looks like a lot of rain.
It's strange that the folks in Cleveland built the ballpark just in the middle of the Cuyahoga River.
Yes.
You'd think that would be inadvisable, but there it was.
You think
And it catches on fire. Off.
There you go,
Catches
yeah.
on fire.
City planning is not big in Cleveland. Let's go to our good friend, as Tanny mentioned, Russ Dorsey from Bally Sports. Our guy, Russ Dorsey, you can follow him on Twitter at Russ_Dorsey1. He is the national MLB insider for Bally Sports and a host over at Stadium. He is the host of The Rally. What's up, Russ?
What's going on, guys?
Hey, Russ, how are you?
Russ?
I'm doing well. I'm glad to be on with you guys. Good to see you.
Appreciate it. First time joining us. We appreciate that. Herb just picked up one of your shirts, also doing the Sports Adjacent pod. He picked up one supporting Tony as well. So it's great to have you on. And you work so damn close to us, too. I mean, we're in the West Loop. So, it's literally like a mile away from you every single day. So how's Stadium been, and how's the new life as a national MLB insider been?
It's different, man. It's different. Being in the trenches on the beat every day is something that I love doing. But to be able to have the opportunity to go and be a national guy for a publication is awesome, and still be able to do a lot of different things I like to do, and then doing a daily TV show. So it's a lot, working a lot, but it's been a lot of fun and getting to do some really good work.
And Russ, as I like to do when I go on road trips, I'd like to put on Sports Adjacent because it's got three of my favorite people, yourself, Jason Leisure, and, of course, young Anthony Gill, professional Anthony Gill with his tie on. But the story you told about you wearing Skechers and Home Dude clowning you for it, can you recreate that for us real quick? Because I laughed because you ethered this kid. You actually, I don't know if you've kept up with his life. I assume he's dead now.
No, well, in that moment, he definitely was. All right, so on this week on Sports Adjacent, we had our back to school episode because kids are going back to school and reminiscing on, that terrible time when it's like, back to school time, all the commercials for back to school merch. And we were talking about the fun parts of school, but also the bad parts of school and clothing, especially as a kid. I come from a middle class Chicagoland area family. Like, we weren't millionaires or anything like that, had everything that we needed, a little bit of what we wanted. So had the Skechers on one day at school, and a kid who wasn't necessarily from an affluent family, but just had parents who liked to buy him things, was talking about my shoes that day. And I responded by saying, your parents only buy you those things because they just got divorced and they want to make it up to you because they feel bad. And the whole room goes crazy. And looking back, kid was going through a lot, sure, but don't take it out on other people. But I would advise the youngins out there to pull that move.
Just a savage at a young age.
No.
That's why they're putting you on Apple TV.
No, he put himself in that situation. He wanted to clown on you and ranking on you about your Skechers, which Skechers, nice fashionable shoe. As a 43-year-old man, I approve them.
Yeah, Bobby the Bulldog, Bobby Slayton does their spots on the radio. They're comfortable. They're comfortable shoes.
Stylish shoes.
Yeah, they're stylish.
Yeah,
Russ,
so,
keep killing it, my man. I got to get out of here because my kid is back there, and she's been more than a good sport. Russ, it was good seeing you. I just wanted making sure I wasn't just leaving after that story.
Bye,
so
No, it's all good. Work on
thank you guys for having me, and hopefully they get this game in.
Yes.
Thanks for being on, Chris Tannehill. You can follow Chris Tannehill on Twitter at Chris Tannehill. We didn't really work out how to get people in and off the stage. So we got Russ joining us now, Tanny taking a step off. We got a rain delay in Cleveland. We are supposed to be doing a live watch-along during the Guardians and White Sox game, but there is no game to watch yet. So we're just shooting the breeze with our guy, Russ Dorsey. So, Russ, now being an MLB insider and after you've clowned on some guys because their parents are getting divorced. What was it like at the trade deadline? Because now you're a national MLB guy. You're not just focused on the Cubs like you were at the Sun-Times. What was trade deadline day for you like? And then also, what was it like when you noticed the White Sox didn't do anything?
So first question, what was it like? It's different, right? I think the experience of covering one team, and as Vinny knows, it's different. Like, your focus is all on this team and the moves that they make. But when you have to go from knowing people in one organization to knowing people in 30 different organizations, agents, et cetera, it's a lot. And honestly, it can be too much. Sometimes it feels like it's too much sometimes, but it's part of the job and it's part of the learning experience. And I'm a regular dude. Like, I'm not some better than you national reporter guy or anything like that. Like, I was a guy that grinded it out as a young kid in Chicago as a reporter and got an opportunity. So it's really learning the craft and taking everything I did on the beat and just bringing that to a national level. So I think first deadline as a national guy was interesting because it's just like, okay, can I do this? And you have that. I wouldn't call it self doubt, but it's just like it's different because you're at the big boys table, right? With the Passons and the Rosenthals, um, and so it's learning. Okay, I can still do this. Like I can be that dude. So it's been an interesting journey to like kind of navigate. And you want to be good. Like you want to give people the best information, and you want to, you know, do what I did on the Cubs beat, or even earlier than that, doing Cubs and White Sox stuff. Like you want to bring that to everybody. So that's been different, but really fun, and I think people have been receptive to that. As far as the White Sox not doing anything, I think hearing from people around the industry about the White Sox, you heard a couple of different things. It was, man, like that team could have used the boost and they didn't get it. And it was also, how can you look at that team as currently assembled and say that, no, we'll just ride it out till the end of the season in a division that is gettable, right? It's not like anybody has run away with the division. And I would always, I've said all season long, the team that wins the AL Central is the team that plays the best baseball, not necessarily the most talented team. And that team is honestly the Cleveland Guardians, right? They catch the baseball, they pitch well, they run the bases well, they put the ball in play. And as you look at the season, how it's gone, that's kind of played out like that and going into the last 5 weeks of the season. So I think there was a lot of surprise around baseball that the Sox didn't do more, especially with some of the injuries that had started to pile up and just the fact that they needed a little bit of a boost at the deadline.
And Russ, Apple TV Friday night games, you, Melanie, Chris Young, CY, former White Sox farmhand. How did that firstly come about, and how are you enjoying your time on the road every Friday night?
Oh, man, you talk about different. That's different. Going from a beat to being a reporter where now it's just like, hey, we want you to analyze games. It came about during spring training. Apple and MLB had these new Friday night baseball games that they were doing, and they wanted them to be fun and informative. And so they called, and I was really honored that they even called me to want to do that. And so started in the second half of the season. And really, it's been, how do I take things that I do as a reporter and bring that to the masses on Friday Night Baseball? And I think for me, something that has been really important is you're bringing two fan bases to the platform for one night. So the least I can do is be as informed as possible on those two teams and really break down obviously the game, but like analyze those teams and where they're going. So the last couple of weeks we've had some big storylines. Like we had Juan Soto's return to DC last week, Nats Padres, and then 2 minutes before we go on air, Fernando Tatis Jr. gets popped for PED. So plenty to talk about, but it's breaking it down to people and saying, hey, look, this is the situation, right? This is where the Padres go from here. This is why it feels like there's a lack of trust between Tatis and the organization. And just really providing people, whether it's fans of those teams or people who just happen to turn us on that night, and give them a really good broadcast. But I want personally people to leave the broadcast and say, hey, I learned something about baseball today, and I really enjoyed those three in the booth.
Russ, you've got, you're looking more so at the whole league. The White Sox were supposed to be better than this, obviously, and I think there are guys who, if they hit, they would be a lot better. Do you think the White Sox or I should say it's not a yes or no question, the White Sox when they're playing the way they're supposed to, if these guys would have hit this year, are they still miles behind Houston and New York, or Houston and some of those teams in the East?
Yeah, I just say they can obviously, if they're firing on all cylinders offensively, if Yasmani Grandal is healthy and hitting, if Aloy is healthy and hitting like he has been since in the last couple of weeks or so, if Moncada is playing more like the 2019 Yohan Moncada and not the one we've seen the last year and a half or so, and Robert is on that continued trajectory upward to being a superstar, yeah, I think they're easily the class of the division. But I do think they are behind the Yankees and the Astros. I think the Astros they're just been that kind of team of the decade. Just they know how to build it. They know how to. You lose Carlos Correa, and they have Jeremy Pena just right there, and don't miss a beat. Yordan Alvarez hitting the ball out of the ballpark every game, and Kyle Tucker looking like a 30-30 guy. Like they know how to build a roster, and they've gotten great starting pitching, and then they know how to make additions here and there to help supplement that roster. I think you'd be in a situation like we were in last year where you get the playoffs and it's Sox against the Astros and you see who clearly the better team is. I think that could be frustrating for White Sox fans because you look at the past offseason and you're like, okay, there's clearly a path to improving this ball club where you have a real right fielder. You're not having guys learn how to play the position at the major league level after not doing it before. And that could be a real detriment to your ball club. So, yeah, to answer your question there, Vinny, I think there was a path to improvement aside from guys just staying healthy and hitting like they did in 2021.
I want to talk, though, a little bit about 2021 and 2020 and, like, we keep asking Vinny this, and Vinny has no answer for us. Where did the home runs go? Like, do you have any idea?
Just crushing me over here. We keep asking Vinny this, and Vinny has no idea. So we'll ask somebody who knows.
I don't think anyone knows. I think if anyone knows, they'd fix it. Where have the home runs gone? Have you been baffled by this too? And it's like it's mostly the same guys. Like Jose Abreu's not even hitting home runs. Luis Robert, when he was healthy, wasn't hitting home runs. TA seemed to lose some power here. I mean, like, where did the power go?
All right, so I'm going to shoot my guy Vinny some bail. I think there are a lot of people confused on why the White Sox have stopped hitting home runs. But if you look at, historically, the team that hits home runs are the teams that usually make it to the postseason and have success, right? And so the last couple of years, the White Sox have been that team and just been able to hit the ball out of the ballpark. This season, it has started to feel like, and Vinny, correct me if you've seen it differently, that the book has started to come out on the White Sox. Right, and how to pitch to those guys. They've never been a team that has been afraid to swing the bat. I think they just found pitches early in the count to swing at, and they drove them. And I think right now, especially with Luis Robert early in the season, it was just like, I'm going to swing. And so if I hit something, I hit something. And I think in a lot of ways, that's kind of permeated the rest of the roster. So I think the power's there. As far as Abreu, I think as the older he gets, it'll be a little bit of the Miguel Cabrera effect where he'll be able to hit till he's 50 years old, but you're going to lose some of that pull power. As far as the other guys, the Aloys and Luis Robert, I just think it's being more selective. So you have pitches you're going to be able to drive because Aloy's a really good hitter, as we've seen. Like, we knew he wouldn't be the hitter that we saw in the first half or after he came back from the injury. But it's knowing that, and I think a lot of young hitters have to learn this, I don't have to swing at every pitch, right? I can find pitches in the count that I can drive, but it's having the patience to know that and learn that and doing that in game that takes guys from being a good hitter with power to a great hitter with power.
Yeah, because, I mean, listen, while all the fan complaints, justifiably so, are where are the home runs, they're not hitting home runs. If you listen to Tony La Russa and you listen to Frank Menachino, they're complaining about guys chasing pitches out of the zone. They're complaining about guys not taking their walks. I think everybody, goes back to the one Frank Menachino quote about, forget about hitting home runs, and if you hit
300, yeah,
right. But I mean, the point that if you're getting hits, you're getting you're getting home runs. It all goes together. Every little bit of it goes together. And so what Russ is talking about. Yeah, they're swinging at pitches outside the zone, and that means that's what pitchers are throwing them, and they're not drawing walks. They're not getting the pitches that you can hit for a home run. They're not making pitchers throw them the good pitches that they want to hit, and that's what has the team irritated, whereas folks are just obviously going to look at the results and say, where are my results? And that makes total sense, but it all goes together.
And Russ, I want to ask you, and I know the story because we've had you on with Lawrence Holmes when I was working at the Score. Why was the impetus for you to learn how to speak Spanish and learn it fluently so you can converse with these guys in the clubhouse? How did that all start, and how is that going with your career? Like, do you think some of the things that you have been afforded to get, not only with the writing stuff, have afforded you to go further because of you speaking the language that some of these players do speak?
Yeah, so I started learning in high school and stopped using it in college and studied in the Dominican a little bit. And it was just like, this is the language of baseball. And so after getting to college and not using it at all, deciding that I wanted to be in baseball and write about it, it was like, okay, I have this skill that other people don't have. Why not use that to the best of my ability? So started learning it again and really learning baseball Spanish. So took an off season, I think it was 2018, and really just like, okay, I'm going to learn phrases and things that even if I'm not having these 25-minute conversations with guys, I can ask a player a question in Spanish and not necessarily have to rely on a translator because, look, I love Will Nadal, who is a translator for the Cubs, and Billy Rousseau is awesome, but like we shouldn't have to rely on those guys to speak to players like we speak to guys who speak English, right? And so I think for me, I used to see Jose Abreu in the corner, and like people would respect him and like not try to take up too much of his time, but like people were talking to guys all around the White Sox clubhouse, and I would just notice that he was just over there chilling, be him and Moncada. It's like, well, I want to be able to, if I have something for him, be able to talk to him without it being, that group setting where, okay, everybody's talking to him, so then I can do it that way. But more so now, I think sometimes it's a little bit of the American arrogance where it's like, okay, you need to learn English, right? Like, I think for me as a reporter, it's my job to be able to speak to everybody. And so I want to be able to talk to all different players, no matter if they speak English or Spanish. So that's kind of how that came about. And I think it has been important in me being able to connect with players, but also people who are fans of the game that might not speak English. So that's kind of how it came about. And so I tell all young reporters or kids who are coming up who want to do what we do, like, hey, take that Spanish class, take that AP class, that honors class, because it's going to be very beneficial to you as you continue your career.
Have you been able to flex that muscle a little bit more, especially now being back out on the road and being in more clubhouses? Have you been able to connect with some other players too, being able to be bilingual?
Yeah, a little bit. It's one of those things where I never want to feel like, how do I say this? I always look at my Spanish as it is not perfect, right? And talking to native Spanish speakers, they're like, no, you don't understand. The fact that you can ask a question without the help of a translator and understand most of the response is huge. And it's something that people can't do. So, yeah, I've been able to use it, and it's been, I've always gotten a good response from guys from it because they'll say, hey, nobody does this. So they're very appreciative that somebody who is American and is a non-Latino wants to speak their language. And like, I love the language itself just because I think it's beautiful, but like, it's also helped me in my career and be able to connect with guys. And it takes down that barrier that you have a lot of times when guys are from a different country and don't necessarily know the language yet. So it's been really good to be able to break that barrier and really like learn guys.
I know you and Vinny have been in this situation before, whether having to talk to certain players or not. I remember, Vinny, you telling the story about Albert Pujols, and now it was a little bit different than the language barrier, but you were in KC, a young reporter, and Albert Pujols is coming into the clubhouse, and you have to talk to Albert Pujols, and Russ is, right out of Oral Roberts and stepping into the White Sox clubhouse and walking up to Jose Abreu and speaking Spanish to him. Those have to be some nerve-wracking moments where you're talking to the stars of the game and putting yourself out there and being like, hey, Albert Pujols, what do you think of this question?
It's the only way you're going to keep going. Russ knows, you know what I mean? Like it's if you don't start, you can't finish, or you know what I mean? So you got to get in there somewhere. You're going to screw up. Guys might even yell at you for asking a dumb question, but you can't ask a better one without asking the dumb one first.
Absolutely. And I think as far as for me, it's, hey, everybody's in there. They put their pants on the same way. And we're out there, we're trying to do our jobs and get home to our families. So there is zero. I think people think there's so much pressure being a reporter. And there is, because it is our jobs. But I think at the same time, like, I get to do something that a lot of people would kill to do. I get to write about my favorite sport and talk about my favorite sport and come on and talk with my friends like you guys about my favorite sport. And I think they're like, you really appreciate that. So if a manager yells at you for a question, which has happened to me plenty, as Vinny talked about there, like, that's fine. Like, I'm going to go home, and you wake up in the morning and you go do the same thing the next day.
That's baseball.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think people get a misconception about your guys' jobs of being at the ballpark, as people would say, hey, what could be better being at the ballpark? And yes, it is better than digging ditches, but it's still a job for you guys. It's occupation. That is your workspace. That clubhouse is theirs and it's yours. Do you guys ever feel like uncomfortable while you're in your workspace as far as, you know, the team, the players, or anything like that? Have you ever had an individual moment where you didn't feel like, okay, I'm not getting the respect needed or due to me because they think this is their area, but also it's my workspace too?
Not necessarily. I think sometimes you have guys, and it's just this way in our business, where some guys are media type guys where it's like, okay, they understand what we do. And I think that's the big misconception. And you talk about it, like, people don't necessarily know what our jobs are. I think that goes on the player side too, where I think there's some players who know what we do. They know we write stories, tell stories, we work for different publications. I think there are a lot of players that don't necessarily know what we do. And I don't always think it's their fault. I just don't think they've been told, like, hey, this is Vinnie Duber, who writes for CHGO and used to write for NBC Sports Chicago. This is Russ Dorsey, who writes for the Chicago Sun-Times and now writes nationally for Valley Sports and Stadium. Like, I just don't think that conversation's had. So for them, it feels like, who are all these people interfering on my time and space, asking me questions? So that's why that relationship is important. And it's a lot easier at the local level and being on a beat where people see you on road trips all the time, right? And you can talk to guys and shoot the breeze about whatever and really be able to say, hey, this is me. This is why I ask you these things. And I've talked to players about it, like, hey, man, if I ask you something and it seems in depth, it is, but it's because I'm the conduit between you and the fan that watches you every day. So I need to be able to know what your thought process is in and at bat. Like, it's not just because I think sometimes players say, well, you're not necessarily going to understand it. It's like, no, well, help me understand so I can help my readers understand. So I think it's the learning process of media and player. And I also think there's a blurred line between what media is, because I think sometimes guys hear things on TV or see things in a headline on Twitter and they think it's media, capital M, when there's really a lot of more black and white. Okay, this is a talking head, this is that. And I think for me, going to the national space, it's you having to be clear to people, like, yeah, you see me on TV and I'm doing these games on Friday nights, but hey, I'm still a writer too. I'm still a reporter. And so, yeah, I think it is a learning process for everybody involved. And I think there should be a better job by teams to say, hey, this is your beat. Like, these are the people that are going to be on the road all the time.
Well, and I was just going to say, I do think most guys get it. You know, you got to remember, too, this is Major League Baseball. Like, they've come up through just how they've learned how to hit and learned how to stay in a hotel and learned how, they've learned how to talk to us. And really, Russ hit on the biggest thing. If you're there every day, they're going to know that you're there every day, and they know what your job is. Being able to talk to guys about not baseball is a huge, huge advantage. I told my wife that Liam Hendricks has a bunch of cats, and so she goes, okay, well, the next time you talk to him, you have to show him a picture of our cat. And so the other day, I literally just talked to Liam. I said, hey, my wife wants you to see this picture of our cat. And, like, that's what we did, was we talked about cats, and he just got a new one. And so it was, a chat like that. And that makes me feel more comfortable around him, makes him feel more comfortable around me. Not that Liam Hendricks needs any additional help in feeling comfortable around anybody. But, it makes that clubhouse go from when you step in there for the first time, whether you're doing it in 2012 in Kansas City or, Russ is like 21 years old. So like last year, I guess, is his first time. obviously you're going to feel a lot different then than you do after doing it for a long time. And I think the players are the exact same way.
Well, and I wondered, Russ, too, because I just saw you were interviewing new Brewers closer, Devin Williams. I know you were up in Milwaukee a bit when you were doing the MLB.com stuff. So did you have a prior relationship to Devin? And then being able to talk to him about the player alliance and the stuff that you guys talked about on Bally, did that just come easier because he already knew who Russ Dorsey was because you were already in the clubhouse and you already had a relationship for probably about 2 years at that point?
No. We hadn't met in person before me sitting down with him. We knew some of the same people, so we were able to work it out that way. But it's it was an opportunity to say, and like Vinny talked about, I've been doing this for a little while now, so I don't feel the pressure of, okay, everything has to be baseball. I have to look down at this piece of paper and have all my questions ready. It can just be a conversation. And I had some backstory on him. I knew he played soccer growing up in St. Louis. I knew the Players Alliance was really important to him. And it's, it's doing the reporter stuff and doing your homework and doing your research that, you know about the person you're going to talk to. But then some of that was in that conversation, most of my stuff is that's in the moment. I'm asking questions off the top of my head and things that I think people would like to know about his story. And so I asked him about one of the best relievers in the game walking away from baseball 3 years ago, because that was on the table. And if he did, we wouldn't have Devin Williams and that airbender changeup that he has, right? So yeah, no, I did not know him going into that, but it was a really cool conversation. And so I think that's the benefit of the national job now, is I can bring a lot of those conversations to people who might not watch the Milwaukee Brewers or people who might not watch the Miami Marlins. Yo, this is Jazz Chisholm, and this is why you should care about one of the bright young faces in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, is there a story this year that's sticking out to you a ton? I'm now enamored with Albert Pujols trying to chase 700. The fact that he's now got 2 multi-home run games in August is freaking me out. That's really excited, but I don't know if Jazz stick out early in the year to you. What's the big story of 2022 in your mind in the Major League season?
All right, so 2. So I'll talk about Pujols because I talked to him in May, and he wasn't close. Yes, I talked to Albert in May.
So, you and I are, like Vinny said, we're 21. We're very, very young.
Yes.
You grew up watching Albert Pujols.
Yes.
Just what is it like standing next to Albert Pujols and asking him questions?
Well, let's also, I just want to jump in. Albert Pujols' rookie year was 2001. I was 11 years old. Let's not go painting me as a 65-year-old man.
Oh, for sure.
You guys are not me. You guys are all young cats.
I was 4, and Albert Pujols was the coolest thing ever. Hitting home runs left and right. So
he has one of the most iconic batting stances in the history of the game. So that moment does come where, look, I've been on the beat. I'm a national reporter. I've been writing about baseball since I was in college. So things don't really faze you anymore. But you have that moment in your mind where it's wow, I'm really talking to Albert Pujols. So this guy is a legend. And then somebody snapped a picture that I still have of me talking to Albert, and I sent it to my dad. I'm like, Dad, this might be the coolest thing that's ever happened in my life. But no, it's awesome. It's an awesome moment. And he was just really at peace with this being his last season. So he was just hey, man, I get to play with my best friends, and it's been all good. But and he wasn't even thinking about it. But you got to imagine that now that he's at 692?
Yep.
That if he finishes at 697 or 698, I'm pretty sure he might give it one last go.
A-Rod,
but I think
at 699.
Yeah, but it wasn't necessarily the kind of finish that Albert's having, where it's oh man, this guy is leaving the game. It's kind of all right, A-Rod, it's about time for you to get up out of here. But the other really great story for me in baseball is the Baltimore Orioles, man. What they've been able to do for a team that wasn't built to be this, and you bring Adley Rutschman to the big league level, and he's turning into a superstar in front of our eyes. It's been fantastic. And to even trade a guy like a Trey Mancini, who was so big in that clubhouse, and then have him, be traded, and they still continue to play good ball where they are right in this AL wildcard mix. That's been awesome.
Russ, I was thinking about this the other day. What if the Orioles meet the Astros in the playoffs? Does Trey Mancini get to like just switch teams?
Yeah,
Like
just
he can go
all right,
back to
take
Baltimore, right?
this off
Yeah.
and put the Baltimore one on. He's like, wait, that's Trey Mancini's music. And he just comes running out, goes to the other dugout. But no, they've been awesome, man. And I think that's a really good story for baseball. And now you want them to spend a little bit of money, which historically they have not, and continue this thing. But I think for 2022, they might be, besides Albert chasing 700, I think that's the best story in baseball this year.
Well, and I know this is probably a negative angle to that story, but like the Orioles, they're not spending a ton of money on their team. The Guardians, who are first place in the AL Central right now, spending $35 million on their team and still being successful. Do you think that's a good thing or bad thing for baseball, where teams are still able to compete at this lower echelon of spending, and now with the extra wildcard teams having 7 teams make the playoffs, or 6 teams make the playoffs? What do you think that does to baseball and how it affects baseball's future?
Yeah, I think it's a catch-22 because I think in a lot of ways I look at the extra wild card and I'm like, one of the reasons I wasn't a fan because teams are already not trying. And so it gives teams less incentive to go out and make a move at the deadline. And I know you could look at it on the other side and say, well, teams are going to still think they're in it and make a move. Well, as we saw this year, that's not necessarily true either. So you want teams to compete. Teams have money to spend. It's just, wanting teams to do that and putting an emphasis on trying to win is so important. And I don't think that should be lost with all the metrics and stuff that we have to say, okay, this is how we value guys and this is how we capitalize on a guy's window or peak years. Like, teams still have to go out there and spend that money. Look at the Dodgers. Like, I know people always say, well, nobody has money like this. They're like the LA Rams of baseball. They're like, we do not care. Here's our money, take our wallet, and we're going to beat you. And they do.
And Russ, before I get to a question, James Fegan sends out a tweet on the Progressive video board. It says, we are currently in consultation with MLB, the umpires, and the grounds crew on the conditions on the field and if they are suitable to play for today's game. We'll have an update within the next 60 to 90 minutes when there has been a determination if the field is playable or not. So within the next 60 or 90 minutes, they will determine if they can get this game in. I want to ask you, you don't, talking with the Pools, you don't necessarily get starstruck when you're in a clubhouse because this is your job. But
Right.
Is there a player or is there a person in entertainment that you've met, you're like, oh, man, I know I'm supposed to be professional, I know I'm supposed to be this, but underneath you're just fangirling?
Oh, man. And by the way, excuse the scene change here. My laptop was dying. I need to grab a charger. Is there a player that I've fanboyed out on? No, I think that piece of you kind of dies a little bit when you become a reporter.
Okay.
And so I think the closest I got to that was that Albert conversation where it was just really wow, this is a guy who on my Little League team, I would imitate his batting stance with my friends. And now I'm talking to that guy as he goes into his last season in the big leagues, knowing that this is one of the greatest right-handed hitters of all time. And that's really cool. So I think that's the closest comparison that I make. But people ask me all the time, especially when I say, hey, I'm from Chicago and I write about baseball. They're like, who's your favorite team? And I'm like, I don't have one. I root for the game. I root for baseball. I root for good stories and good people. And I think as a reporter, that's what you're supposed to do. And my dad's a huge White Sox fan. So I tell people that, and they're like, oh, okay, that's cool. But I always say the reporter in you kills the fan in you, right? And it's a necessary evil to be good at the job. Because you don't want to be the other way where you're still out here portraying as a reporter when you're really a fan.
Right. But, I mean, even the fact that you, still have that picture of you and Albert Pujols, that's what I was looking for. I didn't think it was going to be some crazy thing where you're, asking Albert to sign the back of your shirt or anything like that. But, yeah, I mean, I used to get SI Kids with him and, reading the SI Kids stories about Albert Pujols. And now, my friend Russ Dorsey can write the stories about Albert Pujols. That's, I don't know, that's cool to see. I do want to know, final thing, you played baseball at Oral Roberts. You mentioned, doing Albert Pujols batting stances while you're a player. We're currently stuck in a rain delay. Any rain delay, tricks, any rain delay things that you guys used to do on the field? What's a way to pass time during a rain delay, in your opinion?
Okay, small correction. I was going to play baseball at Oral Roberts, and my first week on campus tore my Achilles. So that ended the career of one Russ Dorsey. But in my times playing, you come up with handshakes, right? You play what is it, where you just like flip the ball to each other. You do that. There's a game called two ball where you're standing in like a circle and there's just baseballs crossing directions. So you're doing stuff to pass the time. You have your one friend that won't shut up about whatever stat, and he's going on and on and on. I was always the handshake guy on all my baseball teams, so it was just like, hey, we need a new handshake. All right, let's come up with one. So, yeah, hopefully that it would be one, not a long rain delay. And my time playing, if there was one longer than 30, 35 minutes, that game was getting banged. So, yeah, we wouldn't have the 3 and 4 hour delay.
Yeah, we're sitting here at an hour and a half, and apparently it's going to be another hour longer. So we will let you go. It looks like you're in a nice hotel, so enjoy wherever you're hanging out for the weekend, and safe trip back to Chicago, and have fun on the rally. That's Russ Dorsey. You can follow him on Twitter at Russ_Dorsey1, and make sure to listen to Sports Adjacent Pod as well. Check him out.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Talk to you soon.
See you, Russ.
And I'm sure he'll be somewhere on Apple TV this weekend. I mean, that's a huge thing. Like, when he got added in the middle of the season, I was like, man, like him, Melanie Newman, Chris Young, just go to ballparks around the nation and broadcast. And I know people don't like necessarily the new things that MLB are trying, but you have to try new things. You're not advertising to people who are like me and people who are in the chats. We're already in. We're bought in. They're advertising to a younger audience and trying to get those people through the door so they can stay in. So it's all good. It's an enjoyable watch and an enjoyable listen for Russ Dorsey. He's a very talented young man.
Well, I like Dave Barista bringing up the possibility of CHGO kids. We could sign our kids up. So another revenue of or avenue of revenue.
Does that mean we are the ones on the little perforated cards, that SI for kids always had? So this means we're in there?
Yeah, and we'll do like the meet the high schoolers or something like that. I remember that part
from regular SI. Yeah.
Oh, was that regular SI? I think they had it in. I think they stole it.
Yeah, that's regular SI.
Yeah, they just copied and pasted it and put it in SI Kids. But yeah, we'll figure it out, Dave. We are going to figure out this rain delay situation as well. We're going to fly to Cleveland, figure out what's happening on the warning track, and try to put some sand down there.
And before I forgot,
you look like you were
before I get we were walking around Cleveland on the first day. It was Friday. And just by happenstance, we see Jason Benetti walking. I see him on the TV right now on Peacock. And we just say, what's up to Jason Benetti? And he's like, what are you guys doing here? I'm like, yeah, I just wanted to check out the Guardians game. And she has never been to Progressive. And he was like, oh, man, you're going to have a great time. He's telling us about Melt and his first experience there. And just a great guy, salt of the earth guy. And he's like, where are you guys going now? It's like, we're just going to get a cocktail as our hotel didn't open until 4:00. He's like, oh, I wish I could. He had his NBC Sports Chicago shirt on. I was like, hey man, you're more than welcome to come on. And he's like, no, just take a picture of it and send it to me. And so, yeah, I just wanted to pass that along. Jason Benetti, just salt of the earth guy. And, I want to have a drink with him one of these days when he has a chance and hear all the stories off the air, because I'm sure he has a lot of them.
When he has a chance, he will not have a chance. Yeah. Hardest working man in show business, Jason Benetti.
Hey, Harry Carey used to drink in the booth. Let Jason drink. It's okay. Let Steve drink. It's all good. It'll be fine. They're professional broadcasters. Again, the update from Cleveland, they're currently in consultation with the MLB, the umpires, and grounds crew on the conditions of the fields, and if they're suitable to play today's game. They'll have an update within 60 to 90 minutes when there has been a determination if the field is playable or not.
They're waiting for it to dry.
They're waiting for it to dry.
Correct. And if it doesn't dry enough, then they can't play.
It feels like it's going to keep raining. So we'll have a decision for you in 60 to 90 minutes. What we are going to do is we're going to take a little bit of break here, and we will come back when an announcement is made, whether the game will restart or whether the game will be canceled. We'll come back and obviously tell you about what's going to happen with this White Sox game and the Guardians game. We'll take a break, though, for about 60 to 90 minutes, and we'll come back and let you know what will happen with the White Sox and Guardians game out in Cleveland. And again, Sox fans, we still got almost 2 months left. The playoffs are right there for the taking. The White Sox still have a chance to win it all, and so do you. This Sunday only, August 21st, as the Sox take on the Guardians, PointsBet and CHGO have an offer for you to guard your cash when you sign up for PointsBet, use code CHGO, make a $51 bet, either pregame or postgame or live, to get $2,000 in free bets, a yearly CHGO membership, a size C sock shirt, an exclusive CHGO sock script shirt, only available with this offer, and a pair of slides from the CHGO locker. You don't need to wait. You could do it right now. You don't have to wait for the game to start. If you want to bet right now, this is a fantastic, fantastic offer. You can get $51 in bets. You can get $2,000 in risk-free bets. You get a yearly CHGO membership. You get 2 shirts, the size sock C shirt and the CHGO sock script shirt, only available with this offer, and you get the CHGO slides. So make sure to take advantage of that offer. It's the best deal in Chicago, and it just got even better. I do see people as well, Sport Card Fanatic, mentioning my head and shaving it. I think that's what we'll do. We'll take a break, and we'll come back. We'll shave my head with whether there's a game or not. So we'll join you later. All right, that's Vinnie Duber.
That's quite the tease.
Hey, my head will be shaved, and there might be a game. That's Vinnie Duber. You can follow him on Twitter at Vinnie Duber. He will have probably the most quick updates for you. He'll get updates from the Sox themselves. So follow Vinnie Duber for the quickest updates on the CHGO White Sox postgame show or pregame show, whatever. He'll have updates on the game. That's Vinnie. Follow him on Twitter at Vinnie Duber. That's Herb Lawrence. Follow him on Twitter at Ecknerwall23. I'm Sean Anderson. Follow me on Twitter at Sean_W_Anderson. The live stream will stay live. We will just have a little bit of a break window and music playing, and we'll be back in about 60 minutes or so. Thank you. Ayo, welcome back into the CHGO live show. We are supposed to be live, reacting to the Guardians White Sox game, but that game is currently in a weather delay. It started in a weather delay, and we are waiting to hear back from Cleveland on what is going to happen. We heard from James Fegan, who tweeted from Progressive Field now. We are currently in consultation with MLB, the umpires and grounds crew on the conditions of the fields, and if they are suitable to play in today's game. We'll have an update within 60 to 90 minutes when there has been a determination on if the field is playable or not. That was at 12:34, and there is still yet not an update. Scott Merkin just about 30 minutes ago said 7 people walking towards the warning track in left field, and we wait. And we are still waiting. There has not been an update since then. So we will hopefully bring you a live watch-along, Vinnie Duber, Herb Lawrence, and myself for the Guardians White Sox game. But right now, that game is currently in delay. We are taking a break to get the final confirmation on whether the Sox and Guardians will play tonight. And if they do, we will have a live watch-along for you. If not, we will be ending the stream, and maybe we'll come back and chat a little bit about Yasmani Grandal, because there's some new news about Yasmani, and it's good. 10 to 14 days he'll be out. But we'll talk about it more with Vinny and Herb when they come back. So we'll talk about that Grandal update. Then if they play, we'll talk about it for 9 innings. If they don't, we will see you tomorrow. So we will go back to the break. We'll go back to the PointsBet screen. And again, if you're just joining us, we are currently in a rain delay of our live CHGO live show. And again, right now, you could take advantage of our PointsBet offer. You can bet $51 pregame or live on the White Sox Guardians game. Since it is currently in a rain delay, you can just make the bet now. You can use the code CHGO when you sign up. And when you do, you get $2,000 in free risk-free bets, a yearly CHGO membership, a size C Sox shirt, an exclusive Sox script shirt only available with this offer, and a pair of slides from the CHGO locker. You don't need to sign up. If you're already a PointsBet member, you just need to make the $51 deposit and use code CHGO when you do that, and you will get our free swag. $2,000 in free bets, a yearly CHGO membership, a size C Sox shirt, and an exclusive CHGO Sox script shirt only available with this offer, and the pair of slides. I know, Sport Card Fanatic, there's still hair on my head. Look at that. Don't worry. We are planning on figuring out we'll talk about Yasmani Grandal's knee injury, and Herb will shave my head. There you go. What other bet? You're going to get an update on Yasmani Grandal's knee, and my head will be bald. So we'll see you after we get final confirmation on what happens with the rain delay. But again, we are currently in a holding pattern. So we will talk to you when we have more news from Cleveland. Ayo, welcome into the CHGO White Sox something. It was supposed to be a live watch game, and it was kind of a long hour-and-a-half long pregame show with Chris Tannehill and Russ Dorsey. And now this is kind of the post-game show. No game. The game is canceled out in Cleveland. The warning track is a monsoon. So what we are going to do for you fine people that showed up for a live watch-along is I will pay off a bet. Sport Card Fanatic in the chat has been begging me for me to shave my head because on August 12th, I said the White Sox will be in first place, and as all of you White Sox fans know, that did not happen. So in this short 15 minutes, I will shave my head to pay up on my August 12th bet. Herb, you still got one more day, so
it won't happen.
It won't happen. So
It can't happen.
Herb's shaving his head, and you're also going to be.
Do I have to shave my head? Or
I want
turn
the
it
La
blonde?
Pantera highlights for you.
I would
think
love
that would be a good
yeah,
look.
I mean, I would love for you to. Go
I mean,
blonde.
I have a wedding it's not mine. The 27th. I'm going to wait until that's done. But then after that, I'm all good. On that Sunday, you can do whatever you need to. I mean, me bald is not a disadvantage. I look great bald.
So, I mean, I think dyeing your hair blonde, like.
Frost those tips.
Oh,
frost those tips. Frost those tips.
If anyone out there knows how to frost tips and can frost Herb's tips, we will give you our address and you can come.
TIP.
frost
Justin
tips.
Timberlake, circa 2001.
Yeah.
We're looking at you.
It will be so choice if Herb has frosted tips. But we are going to do it. I'll shave my head, and with the 15 minutes, we got one topic that I think will cover it. Yasmani Grandal. After further examination of Yasmani Grandal's left knee, this is from the White Sox, revealed no acute damage to the ligaments, tendons, or cartilage around the knee. He is dealing with inflammation caused by hyperextension of the knee and will progress as tolerated. Grandal is preliminary projected to return in 10 to 14 days. Again, I'm Sean Anderson. That's Vinnie Duber. That's Herb Lawrence. 10 to 14 days, a lot better than what we thought.
Absolutely. Though that's some wild wording that I can't say I'm too familiar with. Progress as tolerated. I mean, it makes sense, right? You're not going to push the guy if he can't. This is wild. This is really something. Am I supposed to keep talking about Grandal while this is happening?
Oh, yeah.
I can't take my eyes off of what's going on over here, though.
I don't know if you can-
That hair is going to get everywhere.
Well, I might be here longer than you guys. I have to upload the podcast. I have to clean up all my hair.
I maybe would have started at the bottom.
Really?
This is going to be an odd look midway through.
Well, I don't know. I'll figure it out.
Well, what was I supposed to be talking about? Yasmani Grandal. Oh, boy. Yeah. I mean, right. It's shorter than could have been. This is hard to do. Listen, it looks
Should
like
Joe McEwing sent him, Vinny? I don't know.
it looks like it was going to be really bad. It wasn't really bad. It is now just probably a normal length, if not a little longer, IL stint. That's good news for the White Sox. As we talked about earlier, Yasmani Grandal is a guy that you want on the team despite how poor his production has been this year. He is still the guy that you invested all that money in to be a presence as well as just to put up numbers, which obviously he hasn't done this season. So he's a guy that you want around. You're better off with him than a guy that's never been tested before, especially if you're trying to do something, win a pennant race that Yasmani has done multiple times in his career.
Right. And it's not like Yasmani has been Yasmani of old. Yasmani is still trying to figure everything out, try to get that power returning to his swing and all of that. But he's been kind of valuable to the team. I mean, he's been the third best player against left-handed batters according to weighted runs created plus that's currently active. So outside of Tim Anderson, he's the third best hitter against left-handed hitters. I think, Herb, that Yasmani not being out is just going to make it a little bit easier. I mean, Yasmani does bring competency. He can't run the bases, but he has at least shown that even though he doesn't have that power, he's able to slap some hits to left and right field.
Correct. And I think Yasmani hasn't played as such this whole season. I think Water finds its level eventually, and maybe he doesn't return to the guy he was last second half, but he returns to being a guy that's productive, a guy that got on base last night before he got hurt. And James Fegan with the tweet that new probable starters for the rest of this road trip. Monday in Kansas City, it's going to be Michael Kopech going against the Royals. Then on Tuesday in Baltimore, it looks like Dylan Cease. Wednesday, Lucas Giolito. And Thursday, Lance Lynn. So that's how the lineup or the pitching rotation sets up for this upcoming 4 games. But Yasmani is vital to this team. I know a lot of people were like, okay, that was what a great sim by Joe McCune because it gives us less Yasmani. No, you guys are hoping for the wrong thing. I know he hasn't been good. I know that he's been sometimes painful to watch. Yesterday, in some of those bats, very painful to watch. He's better than any White Sox catcher, by far, hitting and catching. So you need a healthy-ish Yasmani Grandal to do the job that he can do, and I'm holding out hope that that guy will return. So being a big-time Carlos Perez fan or Sebi Zavala fan is all good and well, but I'm waiting these 10 to 14 days for the actual catcher to come back.
Herb, that was amazing that you were able to do that.
Wow,
with
this is
what's
happening?
going on just to your right.
Oh, yeah.
Well, my mom said she couldn't watch. My mom usually watches, and now she can't watch because I'm shaving my head, so I don't blame her.
I agree with the Dash Law here. Somebody should be doing this for you.
I volunteered, but I don't know. This is that man's
kind
hair.
of a good bit.
It's
Yeah, that's
that man's
Lawrence, by the
hair.
way. That's our own CHGO Lawrence Benedetto.
Yeah.
The Dash Law.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So
Lawrence
he's
is right. Someone should be doing this. Somebody should
take
be doing
care of me,
this.
Herb.
There we
Pamper
go.
me. Come on. Let me share my Yasmani Grandal thoughts, all right? Come on. I mean, what are we doing here? I can't talk and shave my head. It does look all right on the top. It does look Costanza-y.
I'm going to give you a Sherman Hemsley.
I need to Google Sherms and Hens.
George Jefferson, come on, man.
Oh, right. Well, if you said George Jefferson, I would have realized it was George
Well,
Jefferson.
he was a real man outside of the show.
Right.
Yeah.
But, like,
He's currently not with us.
all right, Sky Point to George Jefferson.
Moved on up.
I'm getting
Thanks,
our guy
Herb.
Clark saying, I'm getting pretty Radar O'Reilly looking an RIP Gary Berghoff.
That's,
Do you guys?
that's
a
MASH.
MASH thing.
That's a MASH reference.
Oh, that's a MASH reference.
Yeah,
Okay.
is that Scott Merkin in the thing?
Watching Dallas. Lawrence says leave the sides. I don't think you should leave the sides.
No.
I mean, the sides, there's some decent length on the sides right now. So I think if we left it on the side, it would be exactly what SoxHap says. Summer of Sean. It would be very George Costanza-y.
Well, now you live to Froth.
Yeah,
You and Dylan Cease.
I mean, Herb, you're doing a great job. I mean, this feels real relaxing. It feels exactly like they do at the barber shop. You're doing a fantastic job. Yasmani, though, as you guys said, like it's competency. Yasmani, I know he's not the best of catcher back there, but he still does bring a good plate approach. He just needs to be a little bit more aggressive when he's up there. But if his actual power comes back, if his strength comes back, if he's not bothered by those knees and backs, the White Sox should have a better player than Carlos Perez and a better player than Sebi Zavala. At this point, especially with the way Sebi's played in the second half, I'd be more interested in seeing Carlos Perez just get the starts or as many starts as he can in the next 10 to 14 days, because if he's hot, I say keep him up and send Sebi down. And I think Sebi might be out of options, but at this point, I think he's probably the better player, and he is running into some struggles with my hair at this point. Feels like you're hitting a knot or something.
Yeah, you got different type of
Yeah.
in the
See,
crux of your top
this is
spot.
why I wish this is why I was doing it to start, just because I didn't want Herb having to touch my head.
Why? Your hair's fine. Your head's fine.
All right, well, I appreciate that.
Not weird.
I'm glad I didn't have to,
I mean, it's weird now.
It is weird now. I mean, did you ever, sure, Herb? They can't hear you on the microphone. Have you ever shaved a co-worker's head before?
I have not.
He is not. Okay. Have you ever done a live show for PointsBet?
No.
Okay, so hey, it's a day of first here. We got a first live show watch along
This
for
is
the
going off, though.
Guardians and White Sox. What, the guard?
The side stuff is coming off quickly.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Nice.
Are you?
Nice.
Do you have any thoughts on the warning track at the Prague?
It was soupy.
It was super.
I was surprised. My favorite thing we saw was Debo just jumping on the outfield
was in the grass, yeah.
and just shooting up everywhere
Like a stomp rocket.
Yeah, I'm really surprised to see that they didn't cancel this game earlier. But the more we thought about it, Cleveland probably didn't want to play this game. The outfield was truly in disrepair. And then also the White Sox probably wanted to keep that game, or the possibility of keeping that game open, so they didn't have to miss a Dylan Cease start. Or at least they could have Dylan Cease go up against Cleveland.
Well, I think, too, the thing that we talked about, which made the most sense, is what they got to do. They've got to go play an afternoon game in Kansas City. They got to fly out of Cleveland tonight and play a day game tomorrow, which is very rare to play a day game on the first day of a series, with the exception of sometimes when teams are going to play at Wrigley Field. Really, that's about it. So it's probably a positive from their standpoint as a travel schedule. You had asked me, do pitchers ever get sent ahead sometimes for road series, the starting pitcher of the next day? And yeah, they do sometimes. And maybe Michael Kopech, who is staying as the starter tomorrow, is already in preparation for his start in Kansas City. They're not going to shake it up.
And Kopech will be interesting to watch because he's been really damn good recently. He's been impressive to watch. It feels like that fastball velocity is coming back. So the fact that he's going up against a Kansas City lineup where the Sox have struggled to score runs against Kansas City, the White Sox might not have too many issues with Kansas City because they got Kopech on the mound. He gives you 7 innings of 2 earned run ball. You should be able to, stick with it and be in this game. So I like Kopech on Monday, and then the White Sox on Tuesday, we'll have a starting series against Baltimore, and that will be on the East Coast. We saw the White Sox struggle against Baltimore last time, but you're going to start that off with Dylan Cease. The White Sox have had kind of this bugaboo about first games of series and losing the first games of the series. We saw that in Cleveland happen again on Friday, so maybe going up against Baltimore. You got Austin Voth. Did it die?
No, I just turned it off.
Okay. Going up against Austin Voth, you're going to have Dylan Cease.
Austin, the ice planet Voth.
What are you referencing?
Star Wars reference, guys. Come on.
Oh, Hoth.
Yeah, right.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, I got you. All right, that was actually pretty easy.
Yeah,
I
it
just
was.
needed to think about that for any second. Are you doing a rat tail, Herb? Dave wants to know.
What does that mean?
Like, is there any little bit? No.
No.
Yeah, he did a good job. He really cleaned up the neck here. I feel like there's still a decent
No,
amount
it's a
on
lot
this
on that
side.
side. I'm
Okay.
just working one side
You're
at
gonna
a
need.
time.
You know what you should
I feel
do
like
with
I'm
your
gonna need, like, a
free,
half
your free afternoon. Now that there's no White Sox baseball that you have to cover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead down
Get
to
a
the
real
Great
haircut?
Clips and just get it cleaned up a bit.
Get a real haircut. This isn't enough. Jesus Strawman saying this is wonderful. A lot of people saying, you're doing him a favor. He's losing all of his hair. Yada yada yada. Yeah, you know what? That's why I wear a hat, folks. All right.
Yeah, people act like they're growing their own hair. Like you're failing at growing hair. So
Well, what am I doing? Hey, I just read a study in the Daily Mail. It said Rogain's better taken orally rather than the foam.
The Daily Mail
Yeah,
from the United Kingdom. You read British newspapers?
my grandfather does. My grandfather, I walked in, and my grandfather, who also noticed my balding head because it is pretty easy to sight, said, "Hey, Rogaine, it's more effective when you take it orally rather than using the foam." So it's $57 a day, according
Here's
to
a question.
the Daily Mail.
$57 a day.
57 cents. My bad.
Oh, my God,
my bad.
That's
Let that hair
steep.
fall out. Shit.
I'm not
steep.
shaving the stash. That was not a part of the bet.
Why are we still using the
guard?
the clipper, and not
wanna go
where's?
draw?
No, I'm wondering where's the Schick razor.
Oh,
Let's just
you wanna
go
go
full
full
MJ here.
did you bring a razor?
Didn't bring a razor.
Oh no, we can't do that. Oh no, that sucks. We can't shave my head all the way. Yeah, we're not going all the way down. Hopefully my hair will be back.
Like Gomer Pyle.
Exactly. I mean,
Full Metal Jacket. Don't kill anybody after this.
Private Pile.
Or yourself. Yes.
I'll try not to. Jesus said the hair will be back in 3 to 4 weeks, which is usually, normal recovery time for a shaved head.
I mean, Yaz will be back sooner.
Yes. we should do that. Every day Yaz isn't in the lineup, we should take a picture of my head, and we'll see how far from Yaz getting injured to when he returns.
We should leave Yaz
hair
alone.
growth. Okay, all right, we'll leave
Herb
Yaz
already
alone.
raced him. Yeah.
Gave me a knee brace.
He needs your knee support after today. Can we
that's-
get it back to him?
And that is why he didn't get injured more, because he has a great knee support, which he gave me too.
Right.
Yaz is just a saint of the earth.
It's a Yasmani Grandal sponsored knee brace. Rogaine suppositories work the best, so I've heard from Baloney.
Oh boy.
Is that that socks
I'm gonna be.
is it?
I'm gonna be honest. I don't know what a suppository was.
That's
I
when
just
you put
read
things
it.
in your booty.
Oh, hey, maybe. You know.
I don't think it works.
I'm not gonna try that on this podcast.
Don't do it.
Urlacher looks better bald. That's true. A lot of people look better bald. MJ looked better bald. That's about it.
Those two?
Yeah.
Those two
MJ
guys?
and Urlacher. That's about it. Bruce Willis. Not bad. He's been kind of always bald,
Who's
though.
the guy from Star Trek? John Lucard.
Yeah, Patrick Stewart.
Patrick Stewart.
Yeah.
That guy.
That
Sir
guy.
Patrick Stewart.
Sir
He
Patrick
looks
Stewart.
great. Bald, right?
Have you found any unfortunate tattoos on my head? Mailman Jack wants to know.
No.
You didn't see the one?
And if William Shatner ever came home, he would look good bald.
You didn't see the 22s tattooed on the back of my skull for Scotty Potts?
No.
He hit that home run, and I just need to etch it in stone here.
I see this Yoan Moncada tattoo. YM. Why is that there?
Hey, he was a top 5 third baseman in 2019, so I had to get that. There's also a Brent Morrell one in there.
Yes. I mean, I'll get the gist of your hair, but somebody's got to line you up.
Yeah, I was about to say, and people are saying shave the eyebrows. I made a bet for my head hair, not my facial hair, not my eyebrow hair, nothing like that.
Some would say eyebrows are head hair.
Are you saying eyebrows are head hair?
No.
You asking me?
Yeah.
I mean, your eyebrows are on your head. I would consider them separate, for follicle reasons. Yeah.
Yeah, you would look weird with that eyebrow.
Yeah, don't do that.
I would look
Everybody.
terrible.
Yeah.
I'd look terrible. How much longer we got, Herb?
I mean, theoretically, you are.
I
You're
trust
done.
you.
You're done.
good.
You're done.
Vinny wants to go home. The game's
we
over.
We can finish this off.
Yeah, it's no worries.
This has reached. This has reached SNL skit
This
territory.
is-
You've got the gist.
This is good enough, folks. All right. There you go.
that part right there.
Thank you, Herb.
We got some cleanup to go.
You're a blessing. Oh yeah, I mean this side seems to be a lot darker and longer than the other side.
Sean, can you bring it closer to the camera when you're done, too?
You want me to bring it closer? Yeah, when Herb's done buzzing me up,
I mean,
Herb
do it
and
right
Vinny
now.
can end it. Well, I
finish
gotta
it
walk
later.
up.
I'll
If we
finish
can-
it later.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I'll go show it off to the camera as the Blue Angels fly by.
But yeah, that's all we got, Sean.
Jimbo said he went bald in his early 20s. Was graced with a nice head for it. Yeah, I mean, hey, I'm 21. No, 25. How old am I? 25. So
You were way off there for a
early-ish
second.
20s. Yeah, only 5 years. It's not that much.
Guessing your own age.
And Herb is a good friend. Clark wants to let you know that you're a good friend for doing this. The Walter White looks good bald. Bryan Cranston, The Rock does look better bald. But also like The Rock works out. The bald works out. The Rock works out. So I think part of that works. We need a close up of the face and head and a wink and a wry smile. All right, well we'll get that done for you people.
And we need a vacuum.
I mean, look at all this hair.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
yeah. You're gonna need to do some major cleanup on the set here.
Major cleanup. All right, let's just show the people my head, and we'll clean it up. Like Vinny said, we have a time off now. We have a time because the game hasn't
Free
happened.
afternoon.
So yeah, I'll be probably heading over to a Great Clips.
You have little pieces on your hair. Oh, God. Yeah, Sean has a lot of pieces of.
That's trouble.
Yeah, Sean right now is showing his shaven head. It's not great. It's not done. But we'll send him to Bo-Ricks or Super Clips or Sport Clips. Floyd's. Get that shit checked out.
I think there's only 3 words that can describe what's happened here today. We need help.
We need help. Yes. Mercy. Well, that's going to do it for the PointsBet Watchalong. I'm really sorry about the game and not being able to watch along with it live, but hopefully this made up for it. And hopefully Chris Tannehill, returning to a White Sox podcast, returned for this. And hopefully Russ Dorsey, making his debut on the CHGO White Sox podcast, made it entertaining for you at home. For all the audio listeners, hope this was at least descriptive enough so you could get a picture of what my bald head looks like. Vinnie Duber, we appreciate you coming on and hanging out with us. You could follow Vinnie on Twitter at Vinnie Duber. He's the CHGO White Sox beat writer. Herb Lawrence is not only the CHGO White Sox community leader, but he is also the staff barber. You can follow him on Twitter at Ecknerwall23. And I'm Sean Anderson. You can follow my bald head at Sean_W_Anderson. And this is why you do not think the White Sox will be in first place, because, like always, they'll disappoint you. We will talk to you tomorrow for the White Sox pregame show out in Kansas City. It's Michael Kopech versus a Royals pitcher. We'll talk to you at 12:30. Goodbye.